from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Flirting with a record high Tuesday after a cool start. Expect mostly sunny skies throughout the day. Warm and breezy with south to southwest winds gusting up to 25 miles per hour in the afternoon. Highs around 66. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the NRG Media Time-Saving Traffic Center. Good morning. Hope your Tuesday is off to a great start. Traffic looking pretty stable at this time. No accidents, slow-moving traffic, or any obstructions in traffic lanes to report to this point. When you head out, just look out for those long-term construction projects and remember to stay safe and wear those seatbelts. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Sol's Jewelry and Loan.
So with Sol's Jewelry and Loan dealing with designer bags, what is another option that our clients have if they don't want to actually sell their item?
If you're looking to borrow some money, you don't necessarily want to get rid of it. We can hold on to it for safekeeping until you're ready to come pick it back up.
I'm Patrick Claybon with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. It appears the Steelers have a big decision to make about their quarterback situation this offseason. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette is reporting there could be some internal division within the organization about whether Mason Rudolph should be the starter over Kenny Pickett based on his success down the stretch in 2023. Rudolph started and won all three of the team's final regular season games and led the Steelers to the playoffs after Pickett went down with an ankle injury. Rudolph set to become an unrestricted free agent. Meanwhile, the Patriots have decided to part ways with defensive tackle Lawrence Guy and safety Adrian Phillips, according to NFL Network insider Tom Pelissero. Guy joined the Patriots as a free agent in 2017 and Phillips in 2020. Both appeared in all 17 games for New England last season. And the Ravens signed wide receiver Nelson Aguilar to a one-year contract extension. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2. Have a plan to get there. Step 3. Make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all three with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is your home for the big game. We're in the middle of the best time of the year of basketball season, with meaningful games every night, with 40 TVs and massive dual projectors. The games have never looked better. Pair that with their award-winning char-buffed wings and $7.99 Monday through Friday lunch specials. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill has everything you need. 173rd and West Center Road, and for takeout, 162nd and Maple.
It's a new year and new savings event going on right now at Acura of Omaha. More than 150 pre-owned, certified pre-owned, and special purchases to choose from. See all the bargains online at AcuraofOmaha.com.
Thursday, February 22nd is your last chance to see Omaha Maverick men's basketball as they gear up for the conference tournament. Join the Maverick men for senior night as they take on Oral Roberts. This is always a classic matchup. Plus, with just 4 home games left, your Omaha Maverick hockey team takes on Colorado College in a top 20 matchup on Friday and Saturday night. Let's pack the Baxter. Get your tickets now by calling the box office at 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/tix.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that we can give our daughters everything they need to grow and learn. But not every child can focus on classes and play dates.
Nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. face hunger. That's 1 in 6. School lunch might be their only meal each day, and it's heartbreaking to imagine any child going to bed hungry. We're dreaming of a perfect day when kids can smile, play, and just be kids without worrying about where their next meal will come from. Feeding America is working to make that perfect day a reality.
Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. That food is given to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about doing things that make an ordinary day extraordinary. Learning to play an instrument, building a sandcastle, hosting tea parties. Hunger should never be an obstacle to growing up.
You can help end childhood hunger in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
The needs of modern businesses are always changing, but corporate cards haven't evolved in decades. Until now. Meet Ramp, the all-in-one finance platform that combines corporate cards with spend management software. Ramp is the only card designed to actually help your business spend less, not more. With Ramp, you can set custom controls to stop out-of-policy spend before it even happens. And Ramp software even does expense reports for you. No more manual entries, no more chasing receipts. And with best-in-class accounting integrations, you'll close your books in days, not weeks. Ramp gives you better insights and a real-time view of all company spend, so you can stay focused on the big picture and build a healthier business. Join over 15,000 businesses who have switched to Ramp and start saving an average of 5%. Modern finance runs on Ramp. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. That's RAMP.com/sports.
1620 The Zone.
7 to shoot. Shed off the dribble, straight on three. Got it. Jamal Shed, the straight on off the dribble three. 46-35 Houston. 12:53 to play. Shed, hesitation dribble, kicks it out. Wilson, left corner three. Got it. Malik Wilson hits the left corner three to put the Cougars up by 11 with 2:53 to play.
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Hey, what do you guys prefer, a rock fight or an actual real fight? Because we got both of those last night in college basketball.
Saw that.
Wait, and you're referring to Virginia Tech in that rock fight?
Oh,
So
that was
you scored 16 points in the first half?
that was brutal.
Pac-Man defense.
But the Iowa State Houston game, which no surprise was a true rock fight. You could say that. You could say last night was just nothing but rock fights in the state of Texas, because the Texas-Kansas State game for the first half was not really appealing. But the Houston-Iowa State game kind of went according to plan. I mean,
did some Texas dude get rambused?
Well, yes. So late in the game, the freshman guard, what is his name, for Kansas State, sprinted down the floor and clotheslined.
Oh, yeah. And he got
a guy from Texas. Yeah, almost started a brawl.
Yeah.
You had the Houston-Iowa State game, which there was no brawls, but it was tough to get a bucket in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And then you actually had a brawl between Texas A&M Commerce and Incarnate Word, which is just, I haven't pulled out my soapbox in a while, so I walk over in the corner and grab it, is the handshake lines in sports nowadays are stupid.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I've said that for many, many years because I've watched it at like the youth level where it's just a waste of time and you're just asking for trouble. And last night, last night they got trouble because that was a full-on brawl. If you've not seen the video between Texas A&M Commerce and Incarnate Word, they're going through the handshake line.
That's a court I've played basketball on.
Somebody got a little bit upset, and the next thing you know, fists are flying.
Yeah, sure.
Well, and people are like,
that's Billy Bob's
Texas
again.
A&M Commerce. I'm going to get them in the big dance.
One of the best
They got a lot of aggression.
One of my favorite things is the commentators that are doing the game.
Failure.
The female says, she goes, "Oh, and I think that, he think he might got a nick on his face."
Oh yeah.
It was like they were trying to they're trying to diffuse it. Then they're
blow.
Yeah, they're trying to like call it, and then they're like, "Oh, and now we got a trainer with blood. Oh, this is bad." But when she goes, I think that's going to leave a nick on his face.
Here, I would have gone all Harold Letterman and been like, Jim, I got it 20-18 in favor of A&M Commerce.
Now, I never saw how it instigated, because you're watching the handshake line. Then all of a sudden you see two dudes running from the line towards whatever started it.
Handshake
Yeah,
lines.
just have a hand.
Well,
There is no benefit to a handshake line.
No, and it can only go bad.
You have terrible sportsmanship during the game, and then all of a sudden you're going to be in line and like, oh yeah, good
Yeah,
game,
coaches,
good game.
go ahead. That's fine. Coaches, you're adults.
Well, what they just do like what the NBA does. If you want to dap it up, you want to wave to guys walking up the floor. Do that. I've said it for the longest time. You're just asking for trouble. I see it in high school football.
Yeah,
you got a game that has been on edge, and next thing you know, the game ends maybe abruptly, walk-off field goal, and everybody's supposed to get in line and control their emotions as a 17 and 18-year-old. Yeah, I've seen the kids that spit on their hand and go, "Good game, good game."
We did that.
Yeah.
Just you're just asking for trouble. Okay, it doesn't mean if you don't do a handshake line, you don't have good sportsmanship, but you prevent things like yesterday happening. And
you're remembering things you said, aren't you?
Well, yeah, and there's teams and there's coaches that have gotten into it. And last night that happened. But yeah, you know what? If you're calling that, and I really this is where I miss hockey. Because I love calling.
You used to miss fights.
Because in hockey, I love calling fights. And I mean,
gloves are down. Here we go.
I got jacked to call a fight.
Oh, we got him to the left.
I've come close a couple of times in basketball.
I did once.
I called a baseball fight. I filled in for our radio guy with the Fort Myers Miracle, and we had a fight against the Lakeland Tigers. That had there was some carryover of the Latin players. That's something that happened in the winter, and it was like the first homestand, like the second week of the season, and guys went headhunting.
Was it a girl?
And man, you do not want to in baseball fights. The last person that you want is some guy from Latin America because they don't care, and they come out of nowhere. But I miss calling fights in hockey, and then I heard that last night. I thought, what a great opportunity, and they were like, oh, yeah. Oh, no.
It's going to leave a nick on his face.
Oh, okay. All right. That's a glancing blow. Okay. Well, we'll be back after this.
Oh, we need to diffuse this. What was that? Such a great game has now been marred by this. Yeah. The handshake line part of it, too. I also think of, you bring up hockey and some of the games that, I mean, even when the Omaha Sarbon Knights were here. So, I mean, fights would happen. And, the worst that could happen is you got, 5 minutes for fighting. But even it's weird this year. I've noticed it, and I know you've been to some of the games too. It's been a lot more chippy in college hockey, but also in the NCHC. We've seen with the Omaha games where there's been fights like in the last second. And I mean, we're talking like not your college fight.
Omaha Denver was legit.
That was extremely chippy. And then it's interesting. Like I think that's got to be an official's discretion. If a game ends like that, and typically they do, they'll just send them back to, you guys are done. If home team wants to circle around center ice, it's fine, but get the other team off the ice. There's no reason for that. Like I've seen it many times where, and in fact, that the Alaska one 2 years ago on a Sunday afternoon when that thing had been chippy Friday, and then they had a gap, and then they played on Sunday. It had been chippy the whole time. And then they're going through the handshake line. Then all of a sudden somebody says something and you get this huge brawl that takes like 15, 20 minutes to kind of diffuse as well. There's no reason. Again, it's not like anybody on the team is going to, like, they feel that void in their life that the other team needs to say, hey, good game, man.
Well,
you don't need that.
I watch it in youth sports. I mean, really?
Yeah.
What's the benefit? You're only asking for trouble.
I remember when I was a kid and we got our asses kicked. And we'd go through the handshake line, and they'd say, "Good game." We were always like, "Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right. Thanks."
So that's just
right. Don't patronize
me. All
me.
of a sudden, you become a good sport because you're walking through the handshake line.
Yeah, like when the winning team, like remember the Bad News Bears? They give them the cheer. Who's the team? Bears.
Yeah, Tanner throws that.
Yeah. It's like you guys just beat our ass. I don't need you to do a cheer and say that we're awesome. Like, come on, don't patronize me.
So anybody that would like to get rid of the handshake line, just go ahead. And you're fine. It doesn't mean you're a bad sport or you don't promote sportsmanship. You're just asking for trouble. That one time ruins it for everybody else.
Right.
All right. Welcome in, everybody. It is a Tuesday, the 20th of February. Welcome back to everybody that's back in civilization.
67 today, by the way. Rusty just said that. Didn't realize it was going to be that
Peterman, by the way, is wearing shorts and a T-shirt.
Yeah, a little bit chilly outside right now to go shorts.
Yeah. I thought he was working out or something because I'm like, it's a little cold right now.
But so it feels like a little bit of baseball weather.
Yeah.
But we are in the home of college basketball for a day. This is the college basketball world as number 1 UConn is in town taking on number 15 Creighton. Game here tonight here on the Zone. 7:30 tip-off.
Dan, if you're up, come on by.
The defending national champions, UConn, which is
early
14 in a row. They have already beaten Creighton this year. Now Creighton gets an opportunity at home against the number 1 team. I will be there tonight. I cannot wait. It's college basketball at a great level. It's actually a Sweet 16. That's what tonight is in Omaha. We don't get the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8 in Omaha this year. We get the first and second round. Tonight is a Sweet 16 game downtown, and you have 2 like wild records that are in play here. Creighton has never beaten a number 1 team. Were they 0-6 and all 6 games have been decided by double figures? For people that think I'm a jinx, and a lot of you do, I was in the building for 16 Villanova and 18 Gonzaga. Those did not go so well.
Yeah.
So I will be there tonight.
I'm going as well. I'm 1-0 this year with
Man, I feel like I have to go
it
now.
was the DePaul game, but I don't know, man. I got some stink still on my clothes from being at Baxter on Saturday night.
That's a different arena.
So I know, and different teams, but
Try and be positive.
So you have that going against Creighton, is they've never beaten a number 1 team, and you have a team that is on a wagon right now. But UConn, first of all, you would think that UConn has owned Creighton in men's basketball. They haven't. They're 2-6 since UConn came back to the Big East. So it's not like this has been a one-sided series. It actually has been a one-sided series in favor of Creighton, but against ranked teams on the road, UConn hasn't won since the 16th of January of 2014.
Wow.
Yeah. Against ranked teams on the road.
You think about this year. It's like, wow.
I saw him in Lawrence, ranked team.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
So
true, you have the scout.
So UConn is a 3-point favorite for tonight's game in the basketball capital of the world this evening, Omaha, Nebraska, somewhere in middle America. At Flyover State, I'm very curious. I watched, stayed up last night at the end of the Houston Iowa State game. Scott Van Pelt was doing Sports Center. Late night here in Omaha, Danny Hurley made an appearance on an ESPN program. My gosh, ESPN is confused. They're promoting the Big East last night. But he chopped it up with Scott Van Pelt. And all I could think is, I said yesterday, there's coaches that get you agitated. Like when you see Hurley, you get immediately on edge.
Yep.
And you're like,
because he just oozes confidence.
That guy walks into a coffee shop in downtown Omaha this morning. I hope that barista is like, gives him a head nod. And there's like, not today. doesn't give him his coffee. But he was on Sports Center last night. And I mean, they're
sleepy.
They're on a roll. I mean, they are an absolute just machine right now. But good on ESPN talking about the Big East. Now, there was maybe a half a breath about Creighton, who they were playing, but they actually talked about the Big East. And Danny Hurley was on Sports Center last night. I couldn't believe it. I thought my TV was broken.
The non-Scott Van Pelt Sports Center, which I don't know why you watch any other one, but just happened to be on this morning. They were showing it. I think it was this
LeBron.
It was right after Daytona 500 highlights. They had Gino.
Thing screwed me over. Why do I gamble on NASCAR? Go ahead.
I don't know.
Ooh.
They had the Gino win, and so they had the highlights of the Creighton UConn game last night. And in the middle of it, they said, and these two teams on the men's side will play tomorrow night as well during the highlights. So they brought attention to the game tonight.
Maybe ESPN is trying to get the Big East TV.
They might be. Big Monday. Trying to make Big Monday great again.
Or ESPN is just making a smart play because that is the game of the night tonight downtown. Here's the thing, though. So remember yesterday we were talking about, I don't think you need to tell the crowd to be loud.
Yeah.
They're going to be loud. I mean, you like college basketball. You like your team.
It'll be edgy when you get in there.
Yeah,
should be.
There are tickets still available.
What, for this game?
So a friend of mine is in town on business, and he was like, "Hey, you got any tickets?" I'm like, "Are you serious? This is UConn and Creighton. It's like the biggest game of the year in that building. You think I got tickets?" He's like, "Well, I thought." And I said, "No." I said, "But I'll look for you." So I went on gocreighton.com, and the game is not completely sold out. Now there's singles all over the place and maybe a couple of doubles, but
still,
it's not sold out.
That's I don't even care that it's people. Well, it's a Tuesday. It's no. Number one team comes into town, especially this time of the year, where this could be a preview of hopefully the Big East championship game if things work out well. Like this, the seeding implications for Creighton.
Oh,
Too.
if UConn wins tonight, they win the Big East. So.
Yeah. But also having that opportunity to kind of see, all right, Creighton's been playing well lately. Now you measure, like we just said, 0-6 against number one teams. There's just something about being able to take down a number one team, even if you're familiar with that opponent. Like, just there's no excuse for that. Like, this needs to be a sellout. This needs to be like to the brim. I'm sure it will.
And I don't know if they consider a sellout. I mean, there's singles all over the place. I mean, a lot of people don't want to like sit by themselves. I kind of actually go into games by myself.
Just sit there, make a new friend.
Go to a movie by myself.
Well, not in a movie. Movie, you're not going to talk.
I don't think like basketball is not the place. Like if you're single and you're a fan, you just want to go to a game and you don't want to hang with friends or whatever. I don't know. It's a place to go to meet people.
No,
I mean you just
but
there,
you go
gotta
and
watch it. I mean I like college basketball is my outlet. Okay, football is a long season. I love college basketball. So I don't really have a super huge rooting interest tonight, other than I want to watch
a 98-97 game.
Well, I want to watch in a game that has the number one team in the country, the defending national champ, and Creighton, who is now starting to take off. I want to also see 6 NBA guys that are going to be on the floor. There's going to be 6 guys out of this game that will be drafted this summer in the NBA. One of them will be a lottery pick. There will be 3 in the first round. There will be 3 in the second round. So if you love college basketball, I don't know why you can't find yourself inside of that building. Now, the other part of tonight's game that I'm very curious about, we're gonna talk a lot about this, and I wonder how people are feeling this morning, because I do get as I traveled the highways and byways of the city of Omaha yesterday and just talking to people,
made the most of your Monday.
There's a lot of people very confident about tonight's game. Ooh, you as the pregame host.
No, I'm saying the fact that people are so confident. I don't know what to think.
A little bit is just playing at home, the way Creighton is playing.
Yep.
And maybe just UConn cannot continue on the kind of roll that they are on right now, where they've won 14 in a row. They've won 3 straight by 25 or more. Against Big East teams, their winning margin is nearly 16 a game. I mean, they both, let's just get this out there. Both teams did not play well the first meeting in Stores.
No. Not at all.
Creighton didn't play very well. Castle locked up Shireman. He had 12 points on 11 shots. Connecticut didn't play really well. Klingon was just starting to come back.
Yep.
I mean, I think they're both in a better spot a month later than they were back then. But I don't know if it's like, well, they got us the first time, we didn't play well. Well, I got to remind you, I don't think UConn played exceptionally well.
I scored 62 points
in that game. But I just wonder how people are feeling today, because I do sense a little bit of some confidence that this will happen tonight and you will storm the court at the Chai, which is like a given.
I know, and there's been a lot of,
I'll even go and storm the court tonight if that's the case.
You'll get home quicker.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
you don't have time to walk.
There's been a lot of the court stormings taking place in Lincoln, and I know a lot of Creighton fans will be like, well, yeah, but we're a ranked team. We don't do that type of stuff. You do it.
What
tonight.
did you say?
We're a ranked team. We don't do that type of
stuff.
stuff.
Who said that?
Well, I'm just saying that's probably the Creighton
Did
narrative.
Billy say that?
No. They rushed the floor against Seton Hall.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, typically.
No.
Tonight you do, though.
No, you don't normally have those opportunities.
Well, that's a fair
you're
point.
playing in
You're usually the higher ranked team.
This is the advantage of playing in the Big East compared to the Missouri Valley Conference. All the attention of the basketball world is on your home tonight, and you get a chance to play a high-ranked team. In this case, number one. No, I don't get that. I just think there haven't been a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, maybe that's
if you're saying no, we're below, get out of here. They are the number one team in the country, the defending national champion.
Oh no, you stormed tonight. Yeah, you win, you storm tonight, and that should be exciting. The other part about the last
is storm the court every time.
Just when you ever win, instead of handshake.
I was really surprised when Nebraska fans did not storm the court against Penn State. I thought that was what you do at Pinnacle Bank Arena. What happened if you had remember the Detroit Mercy game last week where they won and they snapped their long losing streak?
Yeah.
And the one guy,
just one fan.
What would have happened?
Awesome.
What would have happened on Saturday at PBA is Nebraska beats Penn State and one lone fan runs on the floor and the security comes to grab him and he's like, I thought that's what we did at Pinnacle Bank Arena. I've only been to the Purdue, Wisconsin, and Iowa women's game.
Nobody followed me. What the hell? Come on.
But sir, I played here.
Man, that would be cold if your buddies were like, "Hey, let's storm the court."
Oh yeah. And great prank.
They're in on the joke.
Great prank.
And you run out there and they stand there in the stands and laugh. And while you're being hauled away in handcuffs.
Because you start everybody starts getting down towards the front. So it's like, all right, this is on. And all of a sudden, horn goes off. Let's go. All right, let's go. And then all of a sudden
you turn around and all you can see is like a yellow coater coming towards you, and your buddies are going,
That would be one of the
I
great
got
pranks.
$250 to get you out of the clink.
That would be one of the great pranks.
All right, to the rail yard.
I hope somebody does that.
We'll have a beverage before we get him.
Well, they still got some home opportunities to have that happen in Lincoln. The other part you mentioned, well, I think maybe there's some confidence with Creighton fans. There was an element of that game, and we talked about it days after, about how Creighton they got, to use a Fred term, they got punked. I mean, they had their manhood taken away from UConn in a game where UConn couldn't hit shots as well. But they're like, all right, well, if we can't beat them in that end, or if we can't have success on that end, because Creighton wasn't hitting shots either, we're gonna beat them. And I mean, they were just physical. They bullied them. It was a tough watch from that standpoint. I just and that was one of the things I brought up to Tim yesterday. I just get the feeling there is maybe a little bit of that confidence, that element with what UConn can bring every night. Another thing that makes them very good is they can bully you around. They can throw their weight around too. They're not just skilled players that can score at will. I feel like that's an area that Creighton probably has a little bit more pride in, that if shots aren't going down, that just happens, but they won't allow that to happen to them.
I get the sense that there's a lot of confidence that Creighton will pull an upset tonight. I just do. I think it's going to be really, really difficult, because your big three can match their big three, but the thing that sets UConn apart from everybody else is they add another 3.5 on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. And you're going to have to play on your A game tonight. Now, my other curiosity about tonight's game, and I'm glad that everybody's leaning into this. You know, I saw the picture. They're doing pom-poms in the lower bowl. Why does the upper bowl always get
the shaft?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, upper bowl people, you blue collar people.
Those are the louder fans.
They're people too.
Bring your own pom-pom, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they're doing the lower bowl. I'm glad that they're leaning into it. Okay. You can't run away that this is a monster game. It's not going to make or break your season,
but it's fun.
It's a great opportunity, though.
You know what? When you join the Big East, this is what you get the opportunity to do. You play in games like this. Yep. When you're playing in the Big Ten, now you say in the Big 12, you get these same opportunities, but you know what I'm saying. You are in a high-level basketball conference that you get these opportunities, and you can't run away from it. You should fully embrace the opportunity that is ahead of you. And I'm glad that Creighton, from marketing to the team, is all in, but also smart enough and mature enough to know that this is not a make or break, that if you don't win tonight, or even if you win, you got to turn around, you got to play on Sunday, and it's not going to all of a sudden put you in the national championship game. Yeah, I say you have to beat the UConn on February 20th, not the UConn that's going to be playing on March 20th, March 27th, and on into April. But I'm glad that everybody's playing their part and they're leaning into it. But the other part of my curiosity on tonight is, what do you think? I know, and UConn likes their social media.
Oh,
and the way they handle social media whenever they play a team here in Nebraska, especially Creighton, you would think that UConn had dominated Creighton. That's not the case. I'm here to tell you, people from Connecticut, you're 2-6 against Creighton since you joined the Big East. All right, so shut your face. I do want to know what's in the drafts.
Yeah, what do they have ready to send out?
There's
a cornfield involved.
I'm very curious
because the arena
by
is surrounded
chance
by
UConn comes in here and win the night. If they do,
yeah,
I mean, just crown them. What it looks like when their social media team hits send.
Yeah,
because they've already got it in the draft for tonight. You're right; it's got a corn theme to it.
Yep.
I mean, since they were last here, we've probably added a few cornfields around the place.
We build cornfields up. You know, we somehow we're able to build high-rise cornfields.
We tore down Gallup and we started to plant a corn.
Yeah,
field.
just a new cornfield.
Yeah. There goes a combine right now.
We got rid of some runways over at Epley just so we could put more cornfields.
They call them tractors.
Yeah. That's a tractor. There could be a tractor involved too.
Well, I'm saying the UConn people would call a combine a tractor because that's a mistake we've all made.
Well, I think that they would. They probably have a cornfield, a combine / tractor, however they want to phrase it.
I would hope Creighton would have something in the draft.
I know, I would too.
If you drive around Connecticut, the state of Connecticut, outside of stores in Hartford,
some Dunkin' Donuts slander.
No.
That's a bad time to. Dunkin's hot right now.
Leave that to Rhode Island.
Okay.
But you have a lot of lawyers. You have a lot of ambulance chasers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. A lot of shysters.
I think you have Mac in a suit with call 1-800 for a better.
That would be really funny. And it'd be one of those things though, if like you get the joke, you really, really appreciate that joke.
If you've suffered a loss in Omaha, UConn fans call
I love that.
1-800-667. We can take on any case, any litigation.
We're here for you.
That's actually really, really good idea.
All right. Coming up on the show, the lineup brought to you by the referees at John Higgins Weather Guard. What do you?
Did you get tipped off on something there? Because that's really good.
No,
it just came.
I think it's just the marketing background.
Wow, that's pretty solid.
Sam McEwen stops by at 7:30. Also, Brian Christopherson and Andy Kendi. They have a new addition to the KATV sports team that starts today. That we'll let Andy tell you about.
Human.
It's actually me.
Thought they got a pet.
That is the lineup brought to you by the referees at John Higgins Weather Guard. We'll talk a lot about UConn and Creighton tonight inside of the matchups, I should say, against a good, not only good, but scary good basketball team they'll be playing against Creighton tonight. Also, we'll drop in a little Nebraska basketball chatter as the Huskers play at Indiana tomorrow night against a team that's 1-3 in February. And I still can't believe, with a week off to get ready for Northwestern and their season basically on the line, IU had very little energy and effort in that game. So what does that mean for tomorrow night for a Nebraska team that struggles on the road? I know it's breaking news. They struggle on the road.
Do they now?
Plus, the news yesterday around here that has hit the local and now national is the Ashley Scoggin lawsuit against Nebraska. So we will get into that because I got questions, and I think part of it boils down to one big particular question. So we'll do all that as we roll till 10. Big night of basketball, and the Zone has it covered for you from 6A to Jimmy's pregame. What do you got coming up on the pregame?
I don't know.
You got Denny?
Had Kevin Ollie, and yet he had to cancel because
he has a job now.
Now he's a coach.
Job now.
Yeah. Head coach now.
Yeah. So we're going to have our Brooklyn Nets talk.
What do you got? Do you have
And
anything,
our
do you have
NBA
anything, do you have anything
futures.
special coming up on the show? Jim Callahan? Or Jim Jim Calhoun?
Bill's dad.
Maybe you do have Jim Callahan.
Big Tom Callahan. Yeah.
What do you got? When you guys
we'll
go
see.
on at 6? You go 6 to 7 tonight?
It's 6 to 7, a nice hour pregame show.
All right,
The
what do
way
you
the
got,
good Lord
Chris, what do you
intended.
got coming up on the show?
I don't know right now, but I will know later. I got 12 hours to figure this all out. It'll be riveting radio. That's my tease.
It's a hell of a tease.
That's a hell of a tease.
Just
How about that lower bowl versus upper bowl? 951-1620.
It's a stripe out.
We're off and running on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Omaha's most listened to all sports radio station. Again and again and again. 1620 The Zone.
It's the most time-honored tradition to start the weekend, grabbing a cold one from a local Nebraska brewery. Let's be real here. It's cold outside, and you don't want to drink the same boring beer as those Hawkeye fans. Drink Nebraska-brewed beer, cider, or seltzers instead. Each week, we're putting the spotlight on a unique Nebraska brewery with One Beer Friday. Share your brew on social media with the hashtag OneBeerFriday, and you'll be entered to win a $25 gift card to a local Nebraska brewery. Nebraska is the good life with great beer. Click nebraska.beer to learn more.
You can find pizza anywhere. But when you want pizza pie piled high with more toppings, that's when you come to my place, Godfather's Pizza. For a limited time, get your hands on 2 of my large one-topping pizzas. Pick pepperoni, beef, black olives, you choose. All this food for only $30. Feed your whole mob without breaking the bank. Hey, it's an offer you can't refuse. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
If you're looking for a safe and reliable vehicle to get you through all types of winter weather and more, Baxter Subaru has you covered. Symmetrical all-wheel drive comes standard on nearly all Subaru models and provides you better traction, improved stability, and maximized performance on wet and snowy roads. So hop in the driver's seat of a new Outback, Forester, or Crosstrek now at Baxter Subaru Omaha. Shop our great sales and service deals now during the Subaru A Lot to Love event at BaxterSubaruOmaha.com.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that we can give our daughters everything they need to grow and learn. But not every child can focus on classes and play dates.
Nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. face hunger. That's 1 in 6. School lunch might be their only meal each day, and it's heartbreaking to imagine any child going to bed hungry. We're dreaming of a perfect day when kids can smile, play, and just be kids without worrying about where their next meal will come from. Feeding America is working to make that perfect day a reality.
Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. That food is given to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about doing things that make an ordinary day extraordinary. Learning to play an instrument, building a sandcastle, hosting tea parties. Hunger should never be an obstacle to growing up.
You can help end childhood hunger in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
This year, Dell Technologies wants to help you do amazing things with their best tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 13 Plus, powered by Intel Core processors, and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology to match your forward-thinking spirit and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2. Have a plan to get there. Step 3. Make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all three with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
I do wonder, they're doing the stripe out and they put pom-poms, 9,000 seats are in the lower bowl at the Chai. Upper bowl people,
Bring your own.
You matter too.
You do.
You're our heart and soul. I say bring your own.
We can't do this without you.
What are they going to stop you? They're going to walk in and like, yeah, you can't. No, I'm sitting in the upper bowl tonight and I don't have a pom-pom. I don't have a rally towel. I bring my own.
Yeah. Do they even get a shirt?
I don't think. I don't. Think
Do they get to watch the
I don't
game?
think they give you shirts.
I think you're told based on your section,
your
right?
section.
Yeah, your section.
Yeah, I'll be.
So you have to plan ahead?
I'll be the person wearing black, just because it's slimming.
Wear gray.
No, gray doesn't.
Be neutral
on this body, this Herculean body. Gray does not look so good.
Shows your biceps.
White doesn't look so good.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
Or black.
we have 3 different quarter zips for Omaha men's basketball that the coaching staff.
By the way, I like those Friday ones. The because
black,
the black with it, but you could see that the O was popping because I was across the court from you guys.
So
and that O pops.
So
man.
we wore black on black Saturday night.
Nice.
That's
Yeah,
my
good.
favorite. That's my favorite. But Crutch likes white.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, you know what? White on certain people don't look so good.
You're
I like black.
Do you try to veto it?
I think I'm better in black.
Do you ever try to veto it? Like, no, Coach, I'm feeling like it's a black, or could we even go retro reds?
No, that text comes out a couple of days before the game, and you just you go, hey, all right,
white. I was hoping you'd say white.
You grin and bear it. I get it. No, I like the all black. It looked good.
So you got black, white, and gray.
Yep, black, white, and gray.
It signified a big game on Saturday.
I don't think, outside of maybe one game, they've worn suits this year. So it's all quarter zip.
They do the suits for the coach.
The Summit League. The Summit League is a big quarter zip league.
Oh, okay. Didn't Crutch like his first year? Did he go suit?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
He would wear suits more often. I mean, he's got the kind of body that looks good in a suit.
Yeah, he's a dude.
Like Hurley will show up, and Hurley's got the open collar sport coat.
No tie.
Good luck.
No quarter zip on that
staff
guy.
all wears suits.
Yep. No tie though, because that's out. I still want to know if Fred had his way, because it's kind of the way right now is all the college basketball coaches doing the quarter zip. And that was COVID, but Fred was always rocking the suit no tie. I wonder if he had his way, if he'd like to go back, because they did that. Well, they did it for the coaches versus cancer. I think it was the Northwestern game.
Yeah.
I don't think he would.
I feel like he was back at home in that
most
look.
coaches will tell you now. Now you got to remember, a lot of these coaches had clothing deals.
Yeah.
Like Jerry Ryan hooks up, a lot of coaches,
all
and
the
Gary
Nebraska
Michaels
coaches.
and Lincoln. So they have these really good clothing deals.
Yeah.
And then COVID hits, and you're like, you know what? Being comfortable on the sidelines is a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, Fred's got like the track pants now too.
Yeah,
they're not even they're not even the golf pants.
I think it's all about comfort.
Well, because because you can see the N is like on near the knee, so those aren't the like Adidas golf pants. Those are like the track pants, which good on him. That's like what you usually wear on the bus.
The line on FanDuel is down to 2.5. Connecticut 2.5-point favorite tonight to try and win a game against a team on the road that is ranked for the first time since 2014. They won a couple of national championships since then, but they have not beaten a team on the road
That's a crazy
that
stat.
is ranked. They are a 2.5-point favorite tonight. While we're dabbling with FanDuel, let me give you some other odds. So I looked up Nebraska's odds, which I know that it's like the popular thing to do scoreboard watching with Nebraska basketball and do all the metrics and tweet out a fancy graphic and say, hey, this is what Ed at 29th and Ames says about Nebraska's chances. I'm done. Because here's where I am with Nebraska basketball. You know how I feel that they're in the tournament right now.
Yeah.
The only thing they can do is they can play themselves out of the tournament.
Correct.
Just win. Just win and worry about yourself, because Kansas State isn't helping you. The bottom is starting to fall out of Manhattan. They've lost 7 of 8. People are starting to pick apart because Nebraska has no good wins left on their schedule. People are starting to pick apart now Nebraska's non-con strength of schedule, which you should pick apart. It was not built to go to the NCAA tournament. It was built for a different purpose. So Nebraska's people are now going through with a fine-tooth comb of Nebraska's resume. Just I can't do this every day of the net and all that stuff. All I can do every day is, Nebraska, just take care of yourself. All right, just worry about yourself. Do you have an opportunity in front of you tomorrow night to win a road game? I can't do the metrics anymore. I can just do worry about yourself, win a basketball game. Okay, win games that matter. Unfortunately for Nebraska, all the games matter because the remaining 5 could be signified as a bad loss. But no more worrying about Kansas State helping you or other teams.
They did, by the way. They moved up another number.
Oh, I know. Look at Iowa State. Iowa State's metrics jumped overnight after their loss to Houston. Now, along this process for Nebraska basketball, it'd be nice to mix in a blowout again.
Yeah, I would.
I mean,
it did. Yeah.
If you those quad 3 and quad 4 opportunities, you put the hammer down.
Yeah, and
it'd be nice to have a little bit of separation, but just win. Okay. We're not going to be tweeting out any graphics that have fancy color coded stuff.
Right.
Just win the next friggin' basketball game and then worry about Minnesota. Don't worry about anybody else except for yourself. Now, I'm not saying Nebraska basketball as a whole is doing this. I'm just saying I think for the sanity of all of us, that's the way to do it. But FanDuel, if you like this kind of stuff, and I hope you like FanDuel.
We do.
Nebraska to make the tournament. Yes, making the tournament. Minus 275.
Okay.
To not make the tournament, plus 198.
Oh. So it's pretty much right down the middle. It's like a little more than 50% chance that they, from a Vegas standpoint, that they're I like that number of making it in. The part about you brought up you're going with this thing day to day. So you're going game by game on this thing is what I'm reading on you.
I can't sit here and have 8 pages of numbers after a day where Nebraska doesn't play.
No, and I get it.
I just know how Nebraska can help themselves.
Yeah.
Just win.
If they do, exactly. This is a absolutely moot discussion. But what was interesting this would have been after the Penn State game. I know the coaches and the players, while the coaches try to preach this to the players, I think they're not dumb. They're understanding that these guys are always going to have an ear and eyes to what's going on around them. You're not going to be able to stop that. But hearing Fred actually kind of get into the details of, how they, the margin of victory against Penn State, how they were, they were only up by 12 at one point, then they were able to extend that. Then when they were getting blown out on the road, but then they were able to make that at least a 12-point game. Like, to actually hear him like verbalize that in public too. I mean, this is the new reality for people. Don't realize, like, even in a loss, there's a difference between a 20-point loss and a 5-point loss.
Do you get more of a benefit for losing a close game in Champaign or blowing out Michigan on the road?
You probably get more of a benefit in Champaign in a close loss.
Just win. Okay.
Yeah.
Just don't make this a tension convention. You're playing a team tomorrow night that who knows what Indiana team is going to show up. And quite frankly, thinking that there's momentum off a home win, you have no idea what Nebraska team will show up. So that's what makes this last 5 games kind of fun, right?
Yeah, I don't want to hear
enjoyable.
I don't want to be
hop in the saddle and buckle up and let's just go for a ride and see where it takes us.
I don't want Nebraska to be the team that Dick Vitale and Seth Greenberg are bitching and moaning about on Monday because they didn't get in. There's always that one team. This is a travesty. They didn't get in. I don't want them to be that.
If they didn't get in, they did it to themselves.
Well, that's
it's not because
probably true, but
they didn't do it. They did it to themselves.
But usually that doesn't matter to those guys. You got to find a team that you got to advocate for, and that I just don't want Nebraska to be that team. Make it in.
Here is Andrew on the 42 Degrees The Source hotline. Good morning, Andrew. How are we doing today?
Good. Hey, I love that you brought up some fashion in today's morning talk.
Oh my gosh!
We tried.
Hey, my fit check is on point.
My question is, and I've wondered this for years, why doesn't Creighton wear a black uni?
They have in baseball, but yeah, I don't think they've ever had one in basketball.
I think they would look nice in basketball, but for some reason they have the gray, the white, and the blue,
and the powder blue.
Yeah,
I don't know. Nick is right. They have worn black in baseball before.
So I always thought
other sport they have.
Tonight's game would be a great game for a black uniform.
Yeah, but then you would force UConn.
Yeah, they'd have to
UConn
wear
would be
the
wearing
whites.
white.
I don't like
probably.
that.
I don't think I want UConn wearing white here.
I want them on the road against a ranked team wearing the darks.
Yeah. Hey, so let me ask you this, Andrew. You're a major diehard. Will anything about tonight's game, win or lose, change your opinion of where this team is going?
If they continue their defensive output that they put in the second half against Butler, that would make me change my view probably.
So if you got 40 minutes of that tonight, it would slightly change your opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now if they can do it over a long period of time, you never with Creighton worry about their scoring. They only go as far as their defense will take them.
That's
fair enough.
I would agree, Andrew, but then I think back to that UConn game where they're only putting up a little more than 40 points, and defensively they were fine. UConn was missing shots. It was just a matter of Creighton's offense was pretty woeful, and we talked about this a little bit ago. I mean, they got bullied around a little bit in that game too. So I mean, it has happened, but again, UConn's kind of maybe the exception because they are such an extraordinary team. But yeah, I mean, there have been some cold nights. Typically not at the Chuck or at CHI Health Center though.
No, I mean, and I think that Chi is going to be rocking tonight. I think that place is going to be crazy, but and I will let them storm the court.
All right,
if we do win.
All right, I'll be there with you, Andrew. Thank you for the phone call.
Look for the guy wearing black. That'll be Gary.
I'll be out there with my camera.
Hey, I would wear black too, so I'm
will
team black
Will
here.
you be waving a pom-pom, or are you in the uppers?
No, I'm in a pom-pom section.
All right. That's the way it should be. Are you going to wave a pom-pom?
I don't know. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna, like when everybody's cheering, I'm sitting.
I just love to know your thoughts on a pom-pom. Whether you're going to have one at your disposal. How will you said pom-pom?
I will probably keep it, and I will give it to someone.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
Later.
Yeah. Give it to someone in the upper bowl. When you guys,
Hey.
when you cross paths, they're going upstairs and
what
you're staying
section
where
do
you
you sit
are.
in?
When you see them making the walk of shame upstairs.
Hey,
Take this with
what
you.
What if I got in there early and walked around the lower bowl
And
just
start
grab
taking
pom-poms,
them?
start throwing them up to the upper
You
deck?
should. Man of the people.
Mhm.
Heck yeah, you should.
Yeah, I don't think then I'd have the opportunity to storm the court because I would be
Nah.
I'd be at let it fly watching the game.
Still a good seat. That would be great.
Weren't you supposed to be at the game? Yeah, something happened.
Yeah.
So instead, I'm digging in.
It involves some pom-poms. I think that would be just a very noble gesture on your part.
I do wonder. I'm trying to grab the vibe. I said there's a lot of confidence. I don't know, man. I think the big three can somewhat neutralize themselves tonight. But what is Creighton's answer for Spencer and Caravan?
Yeah.
That's where I'm on the, what I'm going to do with this game. But I just asked Andrew, I'm curious, whatever happens with Creighton, again, this is not a one-off. It's not like this makes or breaks your season. Your season is not over. They're going to allow you to play more games if you win or lose tonight for both teams. It's kind of the cool thing about the schedule is you get to finish it out.
Yeah.
It's not just one game and then the season ends.
Then they're going to a conference tournament.
But what would either result tonight, what would it do to the opinion of Creighton moving forward? Because they've got this great opportunity in front of them to pull off a win over a ranked number one team for the first time ever in school history, or show that the game in Stores was an aberration and didn't win the game because UConn is a wagon, but are right there when need be with UConn. Because I also think, I say I get the sense of there's some confidence about tonight's game. I also get the sense, and this is my sphere of people that I talk to, is there also is this prove it. Okay, I like what I've seen. I have some nightmares of particular games during the Big East, but do something tonight that proves it that I'm okay a month from now being a 4 seed and let's rock and roll. Yeah. And that if you make it to the second weekend and you get a Sweet 16 matchup, which is tonight essentially is a Sweet 16 matchup, that you have the right ingredients to play with teams that are built like a UConn where they're going to try and just squeeze you to death. And you won't allow that to happen.
Yeah, I would think that there is a sentiment of, especially what this team can be defensively. I guess you'd want to say night in and night out, not even week in and week out, because what I'm looking at this game is if UConn is, they're going to be locked into a number one seed in the NCAA tournament. I get it. This is a home game, not a neutral site game, but how do you defend them? Because there was something to be said about how Creighton defended them in the first game. Now, there was also, if you go back on that game, UConn also just kind of missed their share of some bunnies, some high percentage shots that I don't think necessarily was indicative to the defensive effort as much as it was just UConn having an off night, but they made up for it in other ways. You go back to that last time when Creighton played against Butler at home, in a loss where you gave up 99 points. And then the following game, you go to Providence and you give up 91 points. There is obviously, for a highly efficient defense, and the numbers would prove that, you're starting to wonder, are they going the other way defensively? Now, since they've played very good defense. So does that show up tonight? Like offensively, yeah, especially with the way that game went in Stores, that was not a great look. But I kind of hear what Andrew's saying. Like you probably have more confidence that can be there when you need it, especially with the guys that you have. But defensively, are they as consistent, especially against high-level teams like this that are going to push you and do it in different ways where they have a good big, but they also have guards that can hurt you? So, again, if Creighton were to look a lot like they did against UConn and Stores, I don't love that. But if this is a game where Creighton loses, but it's somewhat close, and then obviously if they would win, that tells you all you need there. I think you feel okay about that. The one result I just don't think you really want if you're a Creighton fan right now, especially if you have a major defensive letdown, because you're trying to believe that this defense kind of figured things out over the last week and a half or so. And UConn is the perfect type of team that can exploit anything that you haven't really buttoned up. And that would be my biggest worry tonight.
All right, Jimmy's got an update coming up next. When we come back also, we'll share some thoughts after the Ashley Scogan lawsuit yesterday, which in my opinion was very predictable of what was released yesterday, and a lawsuit with a well-phrased, I should say, wording that people have sifted through. And you have some thoughts. Again, I think it was very predictable that was coming. Not a lot of new stuff in it, though. If you remember on this program, when this happened, we talked about it a lot. There were a lot of people that were very, very quick to say, hey, this is what's going on. But I think it comes down to really kind of two essential questions of where this goes after this was made public yesterday. We'll get into that when we come back. Jimmy's got an update. Sam McEwen stops by at 7:30 on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the NRG Media Time-Saving Traffic Center. That earlier disabled vehicle on the right shoulder of I-80 eastbound at 42nd Street, exit 451, still potentially there. Best to proceed cautiously if you'll be in that area. And some new construction getting underway this morning. If Dodge eastbound is part of your usual morning commute, the right lane from 79th to 78th is closed. Something to look out for this morning. Remember to stay safe and wear that seatbelt. I'm Peter Krenzer.
Time-saving traffic is brought to you by Omaha Transmission.
If you're having transmission problems, you need a specialist. Call Omaha Transmission and see why people have been recommending them for almost 20 years.
Omaha Transmission, shifting to running smooth.
Shop Woodhouse Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram during Ram Truck Month and save on the entire lineup of heavy-duty trucks. Like the powerful and capable new Ram 3500 with an array of safety and tech features that will take your driving experience to the next level. Right now, get up to $15,500 off MSRP on our lineup of 2024 Ram 2500s and 2024 Ram 3500s. The most advanced Ram heavy-duty pickups ever. Get started today at WoodhouseCDJRBellevue.com or WoodhouseChryslerJeepDodge.com to find your next truck. Based on standard and available features offered with approved credit. Tax title license extra. Woodhouse discount of $3,644. Manufacturer incentive of $9,856. $1,000 for qualifying trade and $1,000 with finance through Chrysler Capital. $299 dock fee due at signing. Offer expires 2/29/24. See dealer for details.
Looking for a sweet treat that will transport you back into time? Look no further than Ted and Wally's. With 2 convenient locations in Benson and the Old Market, it's the perfect place to satisfy your cravings. Whether you're downtown or in Benson, make sure to stop in. And if you're catching a basketball game, why not indulge in a delicious dessert afterwards? With over 3,000 flavors to choose from, there's something for everyone. Don't forget to check out our social media for daily flavors. Ted and Wally's, serving up nostalgia at its finest for over 35 years. Visit tedandwallys.com for more information.
Hey, guys, it's Nick for Hims. How many times as a guy have you heard, hey, you need to fix that, whether it's something at home, whether it's something at work, or it's your overall healthy lifestyle? You're always looking for the fix. Well, the good news is Hims can help you. Through Hims, you can upgrade your daily routines with prescription treatments that can make a big difference and help you regain your confidence, help you feel like yourself again. So if you want to regrow your hair, have better sex, or tackle anxiety and depression, you don't have to go to the doctor, the pharmacy, or spend all day talking about it. Just Just go to hims.com and do something about it. The entire process is 100% online, so the conversation stays between you and a medical provider that you can chat with through hims.com. And since it's all online, that means no doctor's offices and no pharmacies, just solutions that can bring real results. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/start. That's hims.com/start for your free online visit. HIMS.com/START.
The GOAT is coming to Kansas City. Sporting KC will host Inter Miami and Lionel Messi, the greatest of all time, at the loudest stadium in the world. See Johnny Russell, Alan Polito, and the rest of your hometown team take on Messi, Luis Suarez, and more at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium on Saturday, April 13th. It's the soccer capital of America versus the greatest of all time. Get your tickets while you still can at sportingkc.com.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Creighton and UConn tonight in fierce athletic competition at the Chai, 7:30 tip. Pregame is at 6 and tickets are somehow still available. So if you're thinking about going, you should go. UConn became the first unanimous number 1 in the AP men's college poll this season, while Washington State jumped back into the rankings at number 21 to end a 302-week drought that stretched back to the 07-08 season. The Huskies remained atop the poll for the 6th consecutive week after they blew out DePaul and then blew out Marquette over the weekend. They received all 62 first-place votes, scooping up the other 16 that Purdue got when they lost to Ohio State Sunday. The Fighting Flans fall at UConn 73-53. The game was tied at 31 at halftime. The loss snapped the Blue Jays' 11-game win streak, moving them to 21-4 on the season, 12-3 in the Big East. UConn climbs to 22-5 overall. They're 15-0 in conference play. They're good. The big story this morning.
Can I? So watching that game yesterday,
which we like 11 a.m. basketball. I enjoyed it.
I think Creighton is right. Is been primarily ranked right where they should be this year. They're 20-25. UConn is right where they should be ranked. 13-17. Now the athleticism really showed up in the third quarter when UConn increased their defensive intensity, and you don't have Beckers, you don't have Edwards. But the gap between UConn and Creighton is still there.
Yep.
And UConn, of course, to the rest of the Big East in women's basketball. But this isn't like an elite UConn team because there is a big-time gap, in my opinion, between South Carolina and where UConn is. It's UConn's at the top of that league, and if you are able, you've got to be almost perfect to beat UConn in this league.
Yeah.
When you don't have the kind of athletes that they have, and that's what happened yesterday. You can only go so far, and all of a sudden people are guarding you and taking away your outside game, and you start inside out.
Then it's the dirty snowball
and then
effect.
Things go south.
Yep.
At least it was better than the first meeting. There's that. Thankfully, they don't have to play them again unless they play in the Big East tournament. And anyway, the big story this morning, the Nebraska rifle team qualifies for the NCAA championships as the NCAA announced that 18 field yesterday. They will face off against West Virginia, TCU, Air Force. It makes sense. Air Force would be good at shooting. Kentucky, Alaska Fairbanks, of course. They're a wagon. Ole Miss and Navy. Those championships will take place, fittingly, in beautiful Morgantown, West Virginia. Shout out Morgantown Brewery. Great burgers, too. Friday, Saturday, March 8th or 9th. Nebraska will make its second straight appearance under Coach Mindy Miles and 20th appearance since becoming a varsity program in 1998. Their qualifying score was based on its score from qualifiers last weekend and their top 3 regular season scores at different locations throughout the season. Not sure what that means. In the NBA, after firing Coach Jock Vaughn and his beard, the Brooklyn Nets are promoting assistant Kevin Ollie to interim head coach. Ollie will start his head coaching duties Thursday against the Toronto Raptors. The Nets have 28 regular season games left. There are hopes that Ollie can re-energize a roster that has dropped into the bottom 10 in offensive and defensive efficiency since mid-December. And you got to be really bad to be in the bottom 10 in defense in the NBA. Ollie, who played 13 seasons in the NBA, won a national championship as UConn's coach in 2014. And then he joined the Nets as assistant this season. In 2+ seasons as Nets coach, Jock Vaughn was 71-68 in the regular season and a whopping 0-8 in the playoffs. He replaced Steve Nash a season ago. A lot of point guards. They do like their guards as a head coach. Maybe they'll go with a big next time. Nash went 43-32, and then he got swept in the first round of the playoffs. So really the bar is we just win one game in the playoffs and you're a success. And finally, St. John's coach Rick Pitino said yesterday that he stands by criticism he leveled at his team Sunday night after the Red Storm blew a 19-point first-half lead in a 68-62 home loss to Seton Hall. The Hall of Fame coach and restaurant fanatic in his first season at St. John's didn't hold back during a post-game news conference in which he questioned his players' toughness and mentioned several by name in case they got confused who he was talking about while describing their athletic shortcomings. St. John started the season 12-4, including wins over Utah, Xavier, Butler, Villanova, and Providence, but the wheels have fallen off since then on the Big Taxi, with the Red Storm going 2-8 in their past 10 games to fall to 9th place in the Big East and out of the projected NCAA tournament field, but at least they're better than Georgetown DePaul. Pitino is struggling to find the right combination of players, even taking all Big East big man Joel Soriano out of the starting lineup against Providence last week due to inconsistency. Sure, a lot of other schools would happily take Joel Soriano. He's pretty good.
Yeah, he still never said anything about, this is a Rick Pitino thing, or never took the ownership of.
He didn't say Walter Berry's not
but,
walking through that door.
Yeah.
Chris Mullen's not walking through that door.
Yeah, it's.
He said a lot of things this year. Remember, 2 weeks ago, he said college basketball needs a salary cap?
Yeah, yeah, he did.
He was going to go freeze to death.
Welcome back to big time basketball, Rick Pitino.
And then he got COVID.
Yeah, that is true. Yes, he did. That's right. I forgot about the COVID after the Creighton game.
Omaha gave him
where
COVID.
we thought that Omaha had a super spreader event at that game, but it was just Rick Pitino from all we know. But not a lot that was again taking the ownership that maybe could have went a long way. And
basically said, "I'm Rick Pitino." So what?
But he also said what we kind of thought was probably the point, and that is to be able to put those words out there publicly. Where we said this yesterday. You would hope that he's at least shared these thoughts with his team before going out on a press conference and kind of blasting their athleticism and what have you. But again, the key thing lacking there was the accountability on Rick Pitino of. And that's on me. I got to get these guys better, but I guess, he can't make them more athletic in his best judgment. So be it. We'll see how that thing looks after the season.
I just, everything's about keeping receipts. I just want to point this out as we move on from Rick Pitino, that on May 15th, 2023, he tweeted out, just an incredible job by our staff in recruiting 11 quality athletes with great potential. A culture is formed with selfless people that have a strong thirst for winning. So excited to work with these 13 talented men.
Now it's the most miserable experience he's ever had in his time. In his time.
I saw a lot of his games with the Celtics. They seem worse.
No, this is it.
Person.
This is it, Jimmy. This is rock bottom.
Ron Mercer's also not walking through that door. Walter McHattie. Who else did he have? Antoine Walker.
McHattie.
Let's go Tommy Heinsohn here. Rest in peace.
All right, Doug writes into his own inbox, and you can always send us an email into the Equitable.
Doug's not a Rick fan, I know that.
Gary at 1620thezone.com or
Handley 1620thezone.com.
All right,
Doug's got a great breakdown here.
Yeah, so Doug's got an issue with Tim Kruger about yesterday and having Wisconsin ahead of Creighton. It's too lengthy to read on the air.
Yeah.
All right, a couple of keys tonight.
That's what I'm reading.
This is Doug. It just is. You can agree or disagree. Trey needs to play physical and play through contact and realize he may not get a foul call. What Trey Alexander do you get? Beginning of the year, middle of the year, of late? The good Trey Alexander catch and shoot three guy?
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll shoot it better than Newton will shoot it. Kalkbrenner will have to play 40 minutes of awfully close, and we have no credible backup. UConn has two good big men. I would use timeouts as rest breaks as much as trying to stop momentum. Take him out on offense at 12:06, 4:06, so he's really only out of the game for 1 or 2 possessions.
This is good.
Call timeout. 8 seconds. It's like you have like a window there between like 12:06 to 12:12. All right, get him out. Rely on the media timeout.
Now,
That's a strategy.
I think the biggest thing, and he's right. You have Johnson and Klingon are two great combos. Now, Klingon only plays a little over 20 minutes a game. but they use him and Johnson really, really well. And Klingon is great in drop coverage. The thing I've been impressed by Donovan Klingon is his ability to run the floor.
Yeah, he gets
for a big
down
man.
there.
He can move, but in drop coverage he's really, really good. And then Johnson is a different element, so they have that covered. Thing with Kalkbrenner tonight with me isn't necessarily getting in foul trouble because Creighton doesn't foul,
and he doesn't, especially.
He had 5 field goal attempts in their first game. 5. Ryan Kalkbrenner in a high-level major basketball game had 5 field goal attempts.
And you can get Klingon in foul trouble. That's the other thing about the difference between Kalkbrenner and Klingon. You can get him up in the air. You can get him in a vulnerable position there too. So this is where I do hope, and again, this is where I trust that Mac and this offense, they will understand that it needs to go through Kalkbrenner, at least early on, to see what you're getting and to see what Kalkbrenner's bringing too. Is he getting some looks? Is he getting some shots? And you're opening up everything else. You get Ashworth involved, Trey involved. Baylor obviously is always going to be a factor, but that to me is a big time head scratcher there in a game like that. And again, it wasn't a game that all of a sudden UConn was just blistering them offensively, that it just got away and they had to kind of change what they wanted to do. I mean, it never was that type of game.
That game also, Klingon had just
he just
started to come back.
And he was coming off the bench.
Now he doesn't play a lot. So 4 times in his 60 games in college, he's only played 25 or more minutes. So they get the most out of him for 20 minutes. Here's the thing that has added to Klingon, and Klingon's a first-round guy. So Castle, Alexander, Klingon are all first-round guys.
Yep.
Shireman, Caravan, and Spencer are all second-round guys. There's 6 NBA guys, in my opinion. I don't know how you feel about it, but that's how I see it in this game tonight. Is Klingon is starting to score. So that's scary because he's elite drop coverage on defense. He plays that part of the floor really, really well, and he just eats up the paint. So Kalkbrenner's going to have to be active. And my God, if he's only taking 5 shots again tonight, just send out the tweet, UConn basketball, get on the plane and go home. But Klingon's starting to score. So he's been in double figures 3 of his last 4 games, and they really haven't needed his offense. But now that they've added to that, it's just another element to you. UConn is not just good, folks. They are scary good. They could have an off night. They could get beat by a team that plays better than them. But man, there aren't a lot of people in the country that are able to go toe-to-toe for them. I'd love to see UConn and Houston play.
Well, especially with the pace that you see Houston play at too, and you saw that last night if you watched them or not, or if you've seen them at all throughout the year. But going back to Creighton, what they do defensively, and with their ability at times to run people off the three-point line, but also not having that ability, if they're doing that the way that I think, UConn kind of forces you to defend them, are you being able to get a little bit of that help on a guy like Klingon, especially with now him being offensively more involved in this thing too? It does. It creates, and this is where you hope that energy, and I don't think Creighton lacks it, and I don't think they would, especially at home. But how are they going to look there later in the game? Because it's going to take a lot of energy, especially if UConn is hitting some shots, especially if their guards are hitting some shots, and then Klingon's involved or it's coming right back out. Are you able to kind of sag down and then get back out there, recover that rotation, everything that you have to do to be able to basically stabilize what's a bevy of options on the perimeter, but also having a big man that can hold his own as well. That's going to be tough.
I mean, Klingon is not only, he's elite in drop coverage. He's great in the pick and roll. Then they bring Sampson off, and Sampson on ball coverage is really, really good, but hedging on ball screens. I mean, this is a really, really good game for basketball heads because there's a lot of game within the game. Another thing that Doug adds is frustrate Spencer, run Caravan off the 3-point line. Those are the two key guys for UConn. I think Creighton has an answer for a Newton, a Castle, and a Klingon. Not a complete answer, but at least they have somebody that can handle them. It's Spencer and Caravan that I worry about that goes off tonight for UConn, and you don't have an answer for them. Now, that's where Ashworth comes into play, that he's going to have to be really good, maybe more defensively than offensively.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, too, and even
Spencer shoots it, I mean, Spencer can drill it from 3-point range.
Well, and that was the one game, too, that when they played back in Stores, that Castle's athleticism was notable. It was very notable. And, I mean, it was leading to some other looks because his penetration and then having to kind of try to stop him and then his ability to kind of get it either inside, kick it back out too, like his just dribble drive penetration too. That was evident in that matchup too. So Castle to me kind of worries me.
Yeah, see,
I think Caravan's good. Caravan is
the offensive part that shouldn't worry anybody. What worries you is the defensive part. That's where he's gotten exceptionally better. Why he's a lottery pick. He's probably in the top 10, and he frustrated the hell out of Shireman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Shireman had 12 points in that game on 11 shots.
Yeah.
Go through the game log and Shireman's career. When does that ever happen?
Yeah.
So his offense doesn't worry me. It's what he's able to do on defense, which is also added to why he's, NBA teams are starting to get a little bit more comfortable with when he's selected as a lottery pick.
Yeah. I just, again, not necessarily even putting up points in that game though, but getting to the baseline, just doing things were causing a lot of movement where all of a sudden you had other guys that were getting better looks and he was able to find them. Like those are the things that I kind of, especially in that game, noticed early on in a game that didn't have a lot of offense, that he was kind of helped trying to create that, whether he was actually on the receiving end or he was actually getting the ball and distributing it. He's just an athlete. He's a hell of an athlete.
Christopher writes into the Equitable Bank inbox. Connecticut versus Nebraska. Your comments about how people in Connecticut view Nebraska ring true. I went to college in Hartford, married my wife in New Canaan, and visited my in-laws many times in Sanford. And yes, it's true. The image of Nebraska, just endless cornfields and a few farmers with straw dangling from their mouths.
Oh, straw dangling from the mouth.
So,
okay, that's a new one.
Hey, my
cob pipes.
My dad's from New York City.
Yeah,
well, he's from White Plains. The response when old pops moved to the Midwest.
Yeah.
Buckeye Jim from La Vista also adds, by the way, the rumor in Columbus that Greg McDermott is in the running for the Ohio State job.
Oh, it's like, is that for the MAC to Ohio State rift? Yes.
I got a little insight on the Ohio State job yesterday, along with the list of candidates that they have at their disposal. They also are attracted to candidates that have worked with a strong NIL/collective unit, because that's going to be a big part of Ohio State basketball moving forward. Is they're going to lean, just like they've done in football, into the NIL. They want a coach who has worked with a very aggressive NIL/collective to acquire talent.
Makes sense.
And I was told that by somebody that covers Ohio State on a daily basis, and I was like, thinking of the list of coaches, I'm like, if you haven't, then
you wouldn't even be a candidate. Period.
Why are you? Yeah. So Ohio State is, they're making a commitment to basketball. They're going to try, and not on the level of football, of course, but basketball. They, because it's like, well, you guys just care about football. You don't put any resources in basketball. And I think Ted Carter and everybody else is like, no. We're in it to win it in basketball, because now we want to take over the world.
Yeah.
I think that's where the Ohio State wants to go. Is we are one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful brand in all of college athletics, and across the board, we're just going to take over. And so basketball is our opportunity. We got stale, butts and seats weren't there. We moved on from Chris Holtman. We got an opportunity here, but NIL is going to be a major part of men's basketball moving forward.
And I wonder, with what you just said there, though, does that also, gosh, I can't imagine it would. Does that put like high-level assistant coaches on staffs, like on marquee staffs, also in the running for this? I would just think this would have to be a head coaching, like a current established head coach.
Any Power 5, any Power 6 head coach right now has had to deal with NIL.
Right. But
and it's not, hey, we got a guy for $50K. I mean, we're talking about the attractive people at Ohio State are coaches that have dealt with, we got a player for $400,000 to $600,000, and we were unique in how we put a package together for them, so that we stood out amongst the rest.
Yeah, and those head coaches were a part of it. I'm just curious if there's any assistant coaches that were on those staffs too that are up and comers that you would say, hey, they worked hand in hand with that head coach. They worked hand in hand with the collective as well, and they were part of that. I think that's a major long shot. I think these are well-established head coaches, but I'd be curious about that too. Just being involved.
I know I said we're going to talk about the Ashley Scoggin lawsuit that came out yesterday. We're going to run out of time here because I want to get Sam. Actually, we'll talk a little bit with Sam about this. But I have thoughts. As I mentioned before the top of the hour, What came out yesterday was very predictable. The Board of Regents had an emergency meeting. It was scheduled last week before this came out. That was concerning the president of Nebraska. It had nothing to do with what came out yesterday. Just a couple of quick, brief thoughts here. It is a well-phrased lawsuit. It reads terribly. There have already been reputations that have been damaged throughout this. You got the one side of the lawsuit. Again, I will say this, and I am not all of a sudden like, oh, yeah. If you remember, when this happened 2 years ago, we talked about it at length on the morning show. And a lot of the stuff that we said is true, has come out. So, again, very predictable in this. I think in the way I look at it, Nebraska sees that this was resolved about a year ago. I think it comes down to essentially two questions involving one person. Is what and when did Amy Williams know? And whatever question is answered there, then you move forward. I don't think that either side would want to have this see the light of a courtroom.
Yeah. And reading that and saying that they, hope to settle this in an actual trial type setting, I thought was also, I can't imagine that that's the end goal here. But yeah, hearing the account of Ashley Scoggins in not only Love, but also Williams' husband, being out with Love and her being invited out to, have drinks with him. It was kind of okay. But I think the exact same thing of as a head coach, and if you go again by the side of the lawsuit and how it reads of allegedly that Trev had reached out to the parents and said that this will be handled by Amy. Well, okay, if there's some truth to that, this hopefully during that Penn State game and that Penn State road trip, hopefully caught her by surprise in that moment. Because
that's what I said.
Exactly.
Down to
exactly.
What and when did Amy Williams know?
Right. I would totally agree because that's the leader of your program. That's the person.
You find out something like this is going on. You are what the, and you got to get it out of your hands into your athletic director's hands. And then, to be honest, this has got to go above the athletic department in something like this. One other thing that because I read through this a couple of times yesterday. Did anybody stop? Again, reputations have been damaged. There are no winners. Whether this goes to court, gets settled, whatever. There are no winners throughout this scenario. And I just don't think either side wants this to see the light of day in a courtroom, because then you have cross-examination, you have former teammates that are coming back, and the part of Chuck Love pursuing relationships with students, why was it plural?
Yeah. Same thing. Was this a pattern? And again, this comes back to, was there any inkling of this? Was there previous relationships? Did any member of the coaching staff, including and mainly, more importantly, the head coach, was there rumors of this? Was there conversations about this? Was there any type of vetting of this? Because that seems like maybe I'll use other examples that we've heard about a long time ago and just other avenues when it comes to sports or just in general. I mean, you see this with, high school kids and teachers. Usually there is a pattern there. That's my opinion of it. I'd be shocked if this was the only, at least pursuing. I don't know whatever comes of it, but typically that follows with, the time you get caught isn't the only time you've done it.
Yeah. Again, I don't think either side, and we just heard we heard one side yesterday.
Yes.
I don't think either side wants to see the light of courtroom, because will video be released? Will Snapchat conversations be released? Just when did the head coach know, and what did she know? And what do you do with that information? The part about the kangaroo court.
Yeah.
Now, I have I have a really, really hard time believing
I did too.
all of that.
I cannot imagine that you would basically put these two people amongst the team and just let them pepper them with questions and interrogate them.
Really hard time.
I did too.
Believing the account in the lawsuit about that. If that actually did happen, there is somebody that should not be the head basketball coach of the Nebraska women's program. But I have a hard time believing that would happen. Just, I don't know. Again, I don't think this sees the light of a courtroom, and I
can't imagine any.
It read terribly. It's not good for anybody in this, and we'll see where this goes. People have asked, what's Ashley Scoggin doing? She's still playing college basketball.
That's at UNLV, right?
All right, Sam McEwen joins us next. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. Hey, you can change your life. You know, you got a lot of things to be excited about. You know what? The weather is warming up. We're getting close to March Madness. And if you slowed down and all of a sudden your mental acuity is decreased, your attention span, stress, your focus issues, you can't even get on those simple tasks, and you're wondering, what is wrong with me? You know what? You might have low T. You know who can take care of that? Mentality. Right now at lowtusa.com, find out what they can do for you. FDA-approved testosterone treatment, board-certified physicians who work with most insurance companies, they can figure out the symptoms of low T for you to get you back on the right path. Locally, their healthcare facility right here in town, they're going to help us men feel and perform at our very best. So come get checked out with them. They're board-certified physicians. Your first trip in, complete physical exam, consultation. They'll give you a complete blood panel and results, and they will have a course of action for you so that you can be the best for your family and yourself with having more energy and a better attitude. Check them out today online at lowtusa.com. That's Mentality.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on The Crossover.
We have the Valentino's ice cream.
Oh, he's going to defend it. This is wild. This is wild. This is so gross.
It's not unlike, now I wouldn't eat this regularly, but it's a little like if you threw it in the freezer.
But blended it first.
Probably a little blended, but...
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, the Connor Happer Show, unsportsmanlike conduct, 6A to 6P, 1620, The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Flirting with a record high Tuesday after a cool start. Expect mostly sunny skies throughout the day. Warm and breezy with south to southwest winds gusting up to 25 miles per hour in the afternoon. Highs around 66. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
The Zone Hotline is powered by 42 Degrees. The Source. By your mom's house.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the NRG Media Time-Saving Traffic Center. Hope you're having a great Tuesday morning so far. Roads looking pretty good as of right now. No accidents, slow-moving traffic, or any obstructions to report. Just that new construction eastbound Dodge between 79th and 78th that has the right lane closed. Just look out for that on your morning commute. And remember to stay safe and wear that seatbelt. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
If you have a large amount of gold or precious metals and want the best price with no waiting, Saul's makes it easy and fast. Any amount of gold, silver, or jewelry, no limit, immediate payment. Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is your home for the big game. We're in the middle of the best time of the year of basketball season, with meaningful games every night, with 40 TVs and massive dual projectors. The games have never looked better. Pair that with their award-winning char-buffed wings and $7.99 Monday through Friday lunch specials. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill has everything you need. 173rd and West Center Road, and for takeout, 162nd and Maple.
It's the most time-honored tradition to start the weekend, grabbing a cold one from a local Nebraska brewery. Let's be real here. It's cold outside, and you don't want to drink the same boring beer as those Hawkeye fans. Drink Nebraska-brewed beer, cider, or seltzers instead. Each week, we're putting the spotlight on a unique Nebraska brewery with One Beer Friday. Share your brew on social media with the hashtag One Beer Friday, and you'll be entered to win a $25 gift card to a local Nebraska brewery. Nebraska is the good life with great beer. Click nebraska.beer to learn more.
For John's 60th birthday, his family planned to drive down Old Route 66. But the trip took a detour when his wife got sick with RSV. It's a highly contagious virus that can lead to breathing problems and hospitalizations.
This year, we don't want to cancel our plans. We're protecting ourselves with Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, respiratory syncytial virus vaccine.
Abrysvo, a vaccine to prevent lower respiratory disease from RSV in people 60 years and older. It's not for everyone and may not protect all who receive it. Don't get Abrysvo if you've had an allergic reaction to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may decrease your response. Most common side effects are tiredness, headache, injection site pain, and muscle pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-844-989-7284 or visit abrysvo.com.
So don't wait. Ask your pharmacist or doctor about Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, because every breath matters.
Hey fans, looking for the best seats without the hidden fees? Then you need to check out Tickets for Less. Whether it's Creighton games, Husker matchups, or big-time concerts and events, they've got you covered, all with no service fees. Now, you ready to score a deal? Use the code THEZONE at ticketsforless.com and save on your next event. You prefer to go mobile? Grab the free Tickets for Less app and shop with ease. Every seat holds a story, so find yours and save when you use the promo code THEZONE at ticketsforless.com and the Tickets for Less app today.
Roofing, siding, and gutters. Make the right call with the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, 32 past the hour on this Tuesday. That'll include a Sweet 16-ish matchup tonight at downtown between Connecticut and Creighton as we welcome in from the Omaha World Herald, Sam McEwen. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Hey, quick here. Let's start with the news that came out yesterday about Ashley Scoggins' lawsuit. What do you think happens next in this?
Well, there's really only a couple of options. You either begin the process of going to court to work with the lawsuit and to begin to litigate, or there's a settlement. And I'm not saying that I have any insight on either one of those. I saw the university's response yesterday. Initially, its response was like, we don't comment. And then I think they understood, maybe after reading the lawsuit, knowing a little bit more about what's alleged there, they strongly disagree, or So I think that's probably the next steps of this process. I can't say that it was an unexpected lawsuit. I think we've heard rumblings of that for more than just for a while, and so the timing is now. Ashley's still playing at UNLV, so hopefully she doesn't have to address any of this while she's playing for the team. But we'll see what happens.
Sam, I'm sure Amy's going to be asked questions about this, especially with the whole timing of it and what she knew, when she knew. Those are all obviously the questions. How do you anticipate her kind of moving forward? Do you think that there's a statement? Do you think this is it'll be addressed after the season type situation? Because obviously this comes at an interesting time, in the college basketball season for everyone.
Yeah, when this came up back 2 years ago, she didn't have any comment.
Right.
She won't have any comment now. She'll just say, I don't have any comment I can't comment on it.
Yeah.
So there's just not much for her to say. The player, Ashley could say something. I mean, she's the one who filed the lawsuit. Mm-hmm. So, or someone did that on her behalf. I don't anticipate the accused in the lawsuit saying anything. Yeah, timing is what it is. You know, it's now as opposed to 2 months from now. You know, we'll see if that has any effect on the team. That's not the most important thing if it does, but we'll see where it goes.
Sam McHugh of the World Herald joining us. Let's just shift to football. So, our friend, your work partner, Tom Chattel, sat down with Matt Rule. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah, great stuff.
I think Coach Rule thinks big picture. I think he also loves the sport and he cares for the sport. They got into scheduling, and as much as I really want the Tennessee series to happen. I thought that was a great opportunity for Tennessee to come here, for Nebraska to go down to Knoxville, and that thing keep pushed back and back and back. And now I don't think it'll ever happen. But as I read Tom's column today about scheduling and Rule's philosophy, and he talks about, Nebraska not hurting Nebraska. What do you think moving forward will be the ideal schedule for Big Ten teams to make it, as he said, a level playing field?
That's a great question. I think Rule leaves open the possibility that there is if not a negotiated, an agreed upon framework that says 9 conference games, 1 power conference game, 1 FCS for everybody. That was sort of Jim Delaney's original vision. The challenge with that is that the SEC and the Big 12 and the ACC have to sign on to that. So I don't know if they're going to do that. Obviously, short of doing that, short of there being sort of an agreement that that's what everybody's going to do, I could see Nebraska moving in the direction of 2 group of 5, 1 premium FCS opponent. If you play a Missouri Valley or a Big Sky team, you're playing a premium FCS opponent almost always. There are bad FCS teams that you can play. The SEC often plays them, and they often play them in November when those FCS teams are beat up, and they have no chance or very little chance of beating a team. But if Nebraska wants to play a premium FCS, that means South Dakota State, North Dakota UNI. Every team in the Missouri Valley is pretty good. Almost every team in the Big Sky is pretty good. You really can't get away from a quality football program. So you could say we're playing a premium FCS, 2 group of 5, and so here's a workaround.
Yeah.
The Mountain West. If you choose the Mountain West, and you say we are going one of our opponents every single year is going to be from one of the 2 leagues that gets into the playoff, which is either going to be the AAC or the Mountain West. It's the Sun Belt. I just don't see it happening, but we'll see. If you said, "Hey, we're going to play the league that makes the playoff every year or every other year," and that's a reasonable substitute. You go talk to Wyoming, you go talk to Boise State. There's teams in that league that you can play that maybe aren't Tennessee that are worthwhile playing, and you might be able to get better, 2-for-1 deals, things like that. So there may be an option there too.
And with that, so he talks about the addition of USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. We know what the SEC now looks like too. And I heard Gary's reaction right there of the idea of that. And I think there's a lot of people that still look at non-conference games where you're playing group of 5s and maybe a high-level FCS, that there's still going to be that type of reaction. Does the committee, does the eyeballs, does it shift a little bit in being more accepting to what you do in non-conference, not at the level of what maybe you used to, where you would get Power 5 teams involved? We're now looking at the shift and how those conferences has changed, that it's, dare I say, even more acceptable with your non-conference to go that route because of what the conferences look like now.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think there's going to be a conversation starting this year of like, who are the 10 and the 11 and the 12 and what kind of schedule do they play? There's that. And let's see if, hey, they played this extra game that was hard as part of the conversation. Next question, what do you do with Iowa? Is Iowa going to really stop playing Iowa State? Is Georgia really going to stop playing Georgia Tech? Yeah. Is Florida really going to stop playing Florida State? Is South Carolina really going to stop playing Clemson? If the answer is no, then I don't really know why anybody has to say, well, let's just not do it anymore. Nebraska can make its own choices. And I think what Nebraska has seen, and this would be accurate, Matt Rule, I wasn't in on that interview, but I would have pointed this out to him. Michigan, the last 2 years, has played a joke of a non-conference schedule, and it didn't hurt them at all.
Nope.
So what difference does it make? And they played them all at home. So like they didn't have any. I mean, the committee didn't do anything to them. Now we'll see. Maybe things will now change because there's 12 teams. You don't have to emphasize not losing as much, and so maybe you can reward a team for playing a really hard schedule. Nevertheless, the system is comprised of humans, and I'm sure if you ask Tom this, Tom's really thoughtful about the NCAA tournament committee, where he's like, look, at the end of the day, they got the metrics, they got this, but it's a person's opinion, and I think the college football playoff committee is the same way. Like at the end of the day, it's just, well, this team has no losses, they must be good. Like it's I mean, it's just silly. It's so there's all of these. The way that the whole thing with Alabama jumping way up and Texas having to go with them because Texas beat Alabama. Now, look, Texas beat Alabama, and Texas is not in the college football playoff. It doesn't play Alabama. It is not in the college football playoff if it doesn't play Alabama. So I think Matt Rule can spitball in a lot of different directions, and he wants to do what's best for Nebraska. And I think, there's a couple games on that schedule especially where you're playing teams over and over again. I don't know that they needed a second 2-game series with Colorado or Oklahoma, but they got them. You know what I thought of when I read Tom saying, and when he sent it in yesterday to our email, I thought of Scott Frost in 2021, wanting to get out of that Oklahoma game because he knew how hard the schedule was. And I thought to myself, his principle wasn't wrong. His timing was, because it was the 50th anniversary of the game of the century. And if it hadn't been, he probably would have had a better argument.
So how much do you think, I mean, I get what you're saying. And like, I could see moving forward, Nebraska's type of non-con this year is ideal in the Matt Rule world. UTEP, Colorado at Northern Iowa, Cincinnati, Akron, Houston, Christian the following year, Ohio, Tennessee, North Dakota. Those kind of schedules, or in 28, if we get there, UTEP, South Dakota State, Arizona. But how much do you think the Big Ten's TV partners have a say in what schedules look like moving forward that are not involving the 9 conference games?
That's a great point. So the big Fox, NBC, and CBS control the inventory for the Big Ten, and they're not going to be able to, only Fox has some of the Big 12 games. So, good point. Yeah. I mean, I think the likelihood of SEC Big Ten matchups is pretty low. I just don't see it happening very often. Once these TV contracts kick into place, I think the Big Ten likes its arrangement quite a bit. I thought it went pretty well last year. And I'm sure the SEC likes theirs. I mean, the Big Ten ACC challenge went away. It disappeared. So, we'll see exactly what happens. And we'll see if ESPN is willing to sell off some of its football games from the CFP contract. I mean, kudos to ESPN for securing that. I'm surprised that the CFP would sign exclusively with ESPN, but, that's maybe I'm not surprised. I think ESPN's handled the CFP pretty well, but simultaneously, I think the CFP has been very cozy with one of the leagues, and so we'll see if that trend continues.
Sam, speaking of Matt Rule, and he was talking, I heard this on the podcast with Reese Davis and Pete Thamel, but he's mentioned it in local settings as well about the stigma around the program when you lose close games and how it feels like, oh, it's another close loss. And, he talks about how he wasn't here, the previous year, so he doesn't look at it. Maybe he has a sort of a different lens. It made me think about this year. It's obviously the second year is important for so many reasons, but is this the kind of that sort of litmus test of if it truly is not really in the program, that kind of stigma, that kind of, okay, here we go again, that close, in a close game where you lose close, you have those close losses that all of a sudden they're able to overcome that with the roster that they have. Is this year 2 kind of give you an idea of if they really are, kind of past that, and especially the way that Matt Rule's sort of preparing him for that?
Sure, I'm with him when he says, we can't assume this is just in our DNA, and some of these games can be won. I totally understand what he's saying. They lost 3 games last year the exact same way, and Minnesota and Maryland and Iowa, they lost all 3 games. I think they might have lost them all by the same score, where they have the ball, they have a chance to go win the game, they throw an interception, the other team goes back down the other field, kicks the game-winning field goal. This happened 3 times, and the common denominator in all 3 of those was interception and having a chance to win and not managing the final possession of the game to get it to overtime, mismanaging it. And that wasn't that was to some degree the story in the Scott Frost era, but it really wasn't. This was very specific and unique to last year's team, and that's something they're going to have to fix. And two of those interceptions, the one against Maryland and the one against Iowa, were unbelievable. I mean, just unbelievable interceptions passes that shouldn't have been thrown, all kinds of things. The one against Minnesota was what it was. But, so they have to fix that. And I understand what he's saying. Simultaneously, the team last year that went 5-7 was 5-7 because of those 3 games. 2 were at home, 1 was on the road. The other games, I think you can look at and say, yeah, they didn't deserve to beat Colorado. They didn't deserve to beat Michigan. So you throw those 2 out.
Yeah. And
then the other ones, they played maybe their best game of the year at Wisconsin. They're close to it. I mean, they played really well against a team that I think was pretty good and was also healthy, reasonably healthy. And so you throw that one out too, because I don't think they have anything to be ashamed of at Wisconsin. I thought they played good football that day. The other 3, though, all you got to do is find a way to win one of them, and then you got to find a way to win at Michigan State. And so those are things they can fix, and it was related to quarterback play. And even though the quarterback play wasn't great in the Scott Frost era, and Adrian Martinez made mistakes and et cetera, I don't think it was as bad as what we saw last year. So they've got to fix that, and that's not on the looming history of the program. That's on Coach Rule, and I think he knows that. He knows it, and I think they're going to go about fixing that. But that is the thing that needs to be fixed. That was a 7-5 defense last year, 8-4 defense that played 2-10 quarterback football.
So just kind of, this is my observation. I brought this up on the show yesterday. Weird stat among the many that are about Nebraska football of late. 4 of the last 5 coaches here, they've had a losing record in their first year. The only one that didn't, that was Bo, and he won 9 games. And you know what it's like when you're here and you don't win in your first year? Things get ratcheted up. And some guys have been able to handle it better than others. But why do you think that Matt Rule, of these coaches that have come from in front of him, or before him, I should say, and I'm going all the way back to Solich.
Yeah.
Rule seems more comfortable at Nebraska than basically all of the coaches before him since T.O. Why?
A couple reasons. I think one, he's kind of been in these situations before as a head coach, so he's had difficult first seasons in his previous 3 jobs, the Panthers and Baylor and Temple, and so I think he's used to it. So there's one reason, I think. I think another reason is just because of who his boss is, and I think feeling the comfort of that person's support, and also understand, I think Trev Alberts has a holistic, big picture understanding of how certain things work. So I think that's notable. And I think part of it's just his personality. He does seem more comfortable, and there's probably more time. And the other thing is, I think he has a more rigorous process than a couple of those guys did. Not all of them. I mean, Bill Callahan had a rigorous process. And he figured it out to some degree in year 2. But I think Rule just has a little bit different process, and I think he feels comfortable with it after having applied it for the last 13 years.
Yeah, there's another thing, and we've all talked about this. How much do you think it helps Nebraska with Matt Rule that they hired a coach off of failure? Essentially, Callahan had been fired needed a job. Riley was like, "Oh, Nebraska's interested." But everybody else that has come here, their year before, they had a really, really good year to get this job.
Yes, I mean, I think Matt Rule is a motivated guy. I think what has subsequently happened in Carolina sort of reveals what he was dealing with there. So I suspect he actually feels somewhat vindicated, although that wouldn't be the word he'd use to describe what happened to Frank Reich, but I think he probably feels that because obviously the problem's not him. So, I think there's some of that there. And the other thing I think is that it's just Nebraska's. I think every coach has a little bit of an ego, and I think Matt Rule understands, 4 or 5 previous coaches have not been able to get this thing done. And here it is left to me, the person who knows how to do this thing. He knows how to rebuild programs. That's a skill that he has. So he knows how to do it. And here is an opportunity that's been presented to him. And I think he's actually excited to tackle it. Like, if he's able to bring this thing back over the course of 5 years, he's done something that a lot of other people haven't done. And I think that would be quite an accomplishment. And I think he'd be proud of it.
Yeah, I agree. Sam, as always, we appreciate it. Enjoy your time off the rest of the week.
All right, take care, guys.
That's Sam McCune of the Omaha World Herald. Scheduling. Why are we making the sport worse?
The way I look at it is you're looking for a reason, not you. The coaches are looking for a reason to justify going easier on the non-conference. And I feel like now you have your ammo, whether people like it or not, is the overall strength of the schedule, especially when you're in the Big Ten and the SEC. That the overall strength of schedule within your conference games are going to provide a lot more of that sizzle that you're going to get week in and week out. So maybe now it's more acceptable to have an FCS team in there, that it's going to be more understandable. But Sam's right. I mean, the first real understanding of if it flies or not is how this first go around of 12 teams looks. But I also think there's going to be a little bit more peer pressure on scheduling. I think more so now than before because, well, not just because you're starting to see the Big Ten and the SEC start to, not necessarily align, but maybe collaborate a little bit. But I think based on what teams are doing in your conference, I just get the feeling that you're going to keep it more consistent and universal. So if a couple of high-powered schools like an Ohio State, like a Michigan, say, hey, you know what? We're going to go no Power 4. We're going to go no Power 4, all Group of Fives, and even an FCS. I could see that being at least positioned to, hey, we can't make you do it, but we encourage the rest of our membership to do that because we want to be consistent with how it looks. So you can't pick apart one team's resume knowing that you stand to have multiple teams in your conference year in and year out in the college football playoff. I just think it's going to be really interesting to see if that does become more peer pressure, because before that, I think it was a school decision. You maybe got some encouragement from the commissioners before, but it was always a school decision. Now, as things have changed and the conferences stand to get multiple teams in, I could see there being a lot more strongly consider what we're saying as opposed to, do what you want. I mean, if it were me, I would do this. Now I think it's like, you know what? We should probably go about scheduling this way.
7:53. I wonder if fans would take a 10th conference game over Northern Iowa.
I would.
Northwestern's on the schedule over Northern Iowa. Fans would.
I would, yeah.
With the head coach.
Yeah.
A little bit later, Brian Christopherson stops by. Andy Kendi as well. Mornings with Sharp and Handley at 1620 The Zone. Hey, you could stop by tonight at the Creighton-UConn game. Yes, go to ticketsforless.com right now. Now, a lot of you signed up for the contest, so you may be the lucky one that is going to tonight's game, courtesy of Tickets for Less. But if you still want to go to the game and you're like, you know what, I got to be there tonight, Tickets for Less has tickets for you right now. Just go to the website, ticketsforless.com, or download their app. And don't forget, Creighton still has Marquette coming here. Nebraska's still got a big game on Sunday against Minnesota. Omaha's got Oral Roberts in their final home game at Baxter Arena. Plus, there's a lot of great concerts and shows coming to the area. And Tickets for Less is the place for you. It's the ultimate source for tickets to the biggest events, sports, concerts, more. Tickets for Less also is local. I have an office over on 145th and West Center. So download the app, get to the website, use my promo code TheZone at checkout, and you're going to find out a world of amazing stuff at Tickets for Less, where they always have transparent pricing and they have no service fees at checkout. Go to ticketsforless.com or that Tickets for Less app and use my promo code THEZONE at checkout.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Remember, no matter how you listen, it's still AM radio. 1620 The Zone.
J-Tech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers, offers exterior solutions that help you protect your number one investment. Whether it's roofing and siding or windows and doors, they're committed to excellence, quality, and outstanding customer service in every step of the process. When it's time to protect the exterior of your home, your choice is simple. Turn to who the Huskers turn to, J-Tech Construction. Check them out online and schedule a free estimate today. J-Tech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers.
Velocity Clinical Research in Omaha frequently conducts clinical trials for a broad range of investigational treatments. Typical studies involve medications for high cholesterol, diabetes, infectious diseases, and others. They also perform vaccine studies for people of all ages, conducting innovative research that has a positive impact on lives. Click for current trials at velocityclinicaltrials.com. More trials are launching in March. Compensation for study-related time and travel. Find out more at velocityclinicaltrials.com.
Car repair is car repair. Most places you go can change your oil or fix your brakes. The difference is the experience you'll get at Omaha Car Care. We're part of the community. We were born here, and we believe that our relationship with you should be built to last. We're going to consult you, not sell you. We're going to give you a free loaner car. We're going to treat you like a valued friend that we want to continue to see in the years to come. I'm Rick Betker, owner of Omaha Car Care, and we'll be along for the ride.
Woodhouse Hyundai offers a streamlined car buying experience tailored to you. With the most versatile lineup of sedans and SUVs like the Hyundai Elantra or Santa Fe. Plus, your choice of standard engines, plug-in hybrid, or fully electric vehicles. And when you shop Woodhouse Hyundai, you can rest easy with Hyundai Shopper Assurance, America's best 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Start your deal online at woodhousehyundai.com today. Browse our inventory, personalize your payments, apply for financing, and more. Convenience delivered every time. This is Woodhouse Hyundai. Right now, lease the 2024 Hyundai Kona SE for $199 per month for 36 months and 10,000 miles per year. With approved credit, tax, title, license extra. First payment $2,999 down plus $299 doc fee due at signing. Offer expires 2/29/24. See dealer for details.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
The needs of modern businesses are always changing, but corporate cards haven't evolved in decades. Until now. Meet Ramp, the all-in-one finance platform that combines corporate cards with spend management software. Ramp is the only card designed to actually help your business spend less, not more. With Ramp, you can set custom controls to stop out-of-policy spend before it even happens. And Ramp software even does expense reports for you. No more manual entries, no more chasing receipts. And with best-in-class accounting integrations, you'll close your books in days, not weeks. Ramp gives you better insights and a real-time view of all company spend, so you can stay focused on the big picture and build a healthier business. Join over 15,000 businesses who have switched to Ramp and start saving an average of 5%. Modern finance runs on Ramp. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. That's ramp.com/sports.
1620 The Zone at 1620thezone.com. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, congratulations. Some people that we know, the Omaha Sports Hall of Fame announced their class for 2024. Dave Weber from Channel 6 is going in.
He still shows up, too. He still just shows up on things.
He does their Friday night football.
Yeah. And every once in a while, you've seen him do. I could have swore there was one Saturday, maybe 2 years ago, that he was back in the studio, kind of anchoring Husker football coverage.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's, I guess, semi-retired.
Yeah.
I know I went to his retirement deal.
Was that over at Exarban Village when he got He was surprised?
Yeah,
that's cool.
So Kelly Hunter, Rod Cush, Coach Wortman out at Elkhorn, who is Elkhorn football.
Yes.
41 years as the head football coach. And then the 84 Omaha Northwest baseball team that Bill Olson was the head coach of, that his son Greg pitched for.
Yeah.
They were unbeaten. 27-0 that year. That is the Omaha Sports Hall of Fame class. That is a really, really good class. I mean, people that did stuff as a prepster, college, even got a little pro in them. I think I'll be at that banquet. It's the usually the end of May. Well, that's cool that Dave Weber is going into the Omaha Sports Hall of Fame.
Awesome for Dave.
Why doesn't Webbs do the so when I worked with Dave, and then Dave was on the radio broadcast. He was part of the radio team for a bit. When I moved to Florida, I can't remember.
Mutual Omaha.
Yeah, he was doing a commercial, and so I had the TV on, and I was somewhere else in my house, and I'm like, huh?
Yep,
that's Dave Weber.
I was in Fresno, California for College St. Mary's volleyball. First thing I ever did. And I was in California in my hotel room in a Dave Weber Mutual Omaha commercials. I'm like, oh my God, I can't escape Dave Weber. But I went to high school with his son, Joel, and Joel's a great dude. And it was always kind of fun being around Dave when he was away from like the sports scene and away from, more of like the Nebraska conversation. But Dave as a dad, it was a different perspective to see him at, and he was great. I mean, he was always that kind of jovial, kind of funny person, but it was just in a different way. And I loved. I mean, that's what I grew up on. I mean, I grew up on Dave Weber and Ross Jernstrom. I mean, that's every time we watch the Sunday Sports Extra and all of those shows, and you'd get Dave and Rossi collaborating. That was always fun. The 84 Northwestern team, and this one I think probably means the most to me because now, mind you, I was 5. So when they were doing that, I didn't recognize him, but being able to develop a relationship with Bill Olson over my time coaching, but also when we were on that run in 2005, we were constantly being compared to the 84 Northwestern team because that was the only team that went undefeated as far as state champions go before the 2005 Miller North team that I was lucky enough to be an assistant coach on. And so as we kind of surpassed the 27 win total, which happened right before state, it was like, wow, okay, that's impressive because you think of that type of not only team and obviously everybody knows Greg Olson, but also how they are regarded in this state. And I didn't realize that maybe at the time until we were kind of going through it ourselves of like, that was something that was never going to be touched. And here we are like on the brink of being able to accomplish that. So that was really cool. And it was really neat to kind of get the appreciation from some people that were part of that team, including Bill Olson. He just thought that was so cool that it happened again. That continues to be, I will always put, because I'm biased, the 2005 Miller North team up there is one of the greatest high school baseball teams, probably one of the greatest high school state champions ever with that many games and being able to go unblemished. But the dudes that Northwestern team had, and then the teams that they had later, there was a 94 Omaha Northwest team that I was in awe of. Now I think they lost like a game or two because they were also, that was the same time Kyle Peterson was at prep. Mm-hmm. And so you had a very good prep team as well. But man, those Northwest teams under Bill Olson, those guys were studs.
Didn't wasn't it the 83? Like the 84 one is the one going to the Omaha Sports Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. But I've heard the stories of the 83 team was better.
Could have been. It could have been. It wouldn't shock me. I'm not sure about that.
Like Collegiate Baseball Magazine gave them a mythical national championship for the 83. And then they were like, the following year, they were the second best high school team in the country.
Yeah.
Like 83, 84, 85 was a hell of a run for Omaha Northwest baseball.
Mm-hmm. And then they carried it on until Bill got out of coaching, but which is sad now because now they don't even have the numbers to fill a squad. I mean, it's a lot different now, but
you go to do a football game at Kinnick Stadium. So when you go in that little roundabout and you drive up the hill and the ballpark kind of looks.
Yep. At one point, it was really cool at one point, but and they do it like USA Today would rank the high school baseball teams too, because in 2005 Miller North, think we finished third. But we, out of the top 5, we were the only ones that were undefeated. So we claim a fictitious
Do you think
national
Webbs
championship.
will show up with the lucky corn cob?
He
Do you
better.
think he still has the lucky
I bet
corn
he does.
cob?
Yes.
From the Orange Bowl.
100%. Absolutely it does.
I heard him speak, and that was one of the first things he talked about.
It became a big deal. He would actually have it during sportscasts after that, too.
Oh, yeah.
It was a huge deal.
I was 95 at the national championship of the Orange Bowl. He found a corn cob on the sidelines.
I remember my dad got a little corn cob fatigue one time because he had it on the broadcast one day. I think maybe my dad had a bad day at work or something. We were watching the 10 o'clock news and sports came on and he had the corn cob and he goes, I think they were getting ready to play a big game. And he goes, oh, and don't worry, guys, I got the corn cob. And my dad's like, I've had it with this damn corn cob.
Webbs is awesome. That's a cool honor for him. But can we bring back the Sunday night sports show in this town? Yeah. So Webbs and Rossi had
Sunday Sports Extra,
and then
Sound Off.
Sound Off was on Channel 3.
Yeah,
with Travis and Zadiska,
mm-hmm.
and then all of them just disappeared.
Yeah, I got to be a part of them with. Remember when Chase Williams was here?
Oh.
We were in Garrett. It would be Chase and Garrett Gordon.
I do remember when Chase was here.
When Chase and Garrett Gordon, they were doing that. And so when we came on board, they wanted to, involve radio as well. So Joe and I would like rotate in on that. We'd be in one studio, and like the radio studio that was like, I was built for TV as well.
They wouldn't let you come on the set?
There's a few times we were on the set, but then they thought this little radio thing was really cool.
Let's bring back the Sunday night sports show.
They're great.
I know, isn't everybody doing an hour newscast? Because Sunday is the most viewed.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't start till 11.
Mm-hmm.
No, we don't even have, is the coaches football show and basketball show even at 11 o'clock on Sundays now?
I don't think it is, no.
In the morning?
Yeah, I think it's now like on a Monday or something.
I record it now, so.
Yeah.
I'm all for bringing back the Sunday night sports shows. I'll even come and do it. You know what? We got a TV guy's coming up at 9:45. He's got a new addition to his sports staff. I think KTV should just finish. They should only do a half-hour newscast on Sunday nights.
Mm-hmm.
Bill and Julie would be happy. Rob could go home.
Yeah.
And then Andy and like me could do the show.
You could. You're involved. You'd know.
They were popular. Like the Channel 3 one was really popular.
Oh, that one was, and I think
when Travis and Rob were doing it,
yep.
I enjoyed that.
And they just had a straight up. I mean, it was a straight up call-in show.
Yeah,
like the Sunday Sports Extra was all highlights.
Yeah, they also did not. They did not have a delay, or they did not screen callers.
Nope, because that would.
So kids would get loose on there,
oh, yeah.
and they would call it 10:45 on a Sunday night,
and then to see the reaction as something came over the air, like okay. No, they were great. I'm glad that they continued that relationship with their podcast too. But they were fantastic. Now, did you guys ever grow up on did you ever watch the George Michael Sports Machine?
Yeah,
that's where my mind went.
Well, see, in Des Moines, when Des Moines growing up, when I was a little kid, Jim Zabel, the late great voice of Iowa, had Beat the Bear.
And what was that?
He would actually have the Hams Bear in costume pick football games.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that where the Bear from ESPN? Well, no longer with ESPN.
No,
Chris
that's
Felica?
a different story.
I know. I'm just thinking, did he steal that?
WHO back in the day was great. When I was a kid, they had Floppy. They had a cartoon show.
Yeah.
That I appeared on.
You appeared on this?
But they had Floppy.
Was this like Michael Scott and Fundle Bundle?
It was Dwayne and Floppy. No, they had a dog and he was in a box.
And you were on this show?
Yeah, it was like if you got picked to go to the audience for the Floppy show in Des Moines.
Yeah,
it was like the greatest thing.
Like Bozo.
I was there twice. It was awesome.
I thought you meant like you were on the show, like they used you in a segment.
I got to sit in the audience, but they showed every kid because there were only like 15 kids.
Oh, that's fun.
No, WHO was great as a kid growing up. They had the Floppy show, and then they had Beat the Bear on Sunday nights, and Zabel was probably drunk. And he was doing the show, and they would have a bear that would pick football games against Zabel.
That's awesome.
It was great.
See, we need more of that. You're absolutely right. We need more of that.
Yeah, we need more bears on TV.
We do.
And then we wonder why you went into broadcasting.
Bears
you were inspired at an early age.
Yeah, Bears predicting football games and whatnot. That's great.
BC and AK coming up a little bit later. We'll get back into talking about the big game tonight between UConn and Creighton. What will it take for Creighton to knock off the number one team in the country? That plus more on Nebraska basketball. I wonder if people are back in on Nebraska basketball. Like if you've never really cared about Nebraska basketball of late, all of a sudden you've re-engaged this season. There's a pretty good story going on in Lincoln. We'll see what kind of an ending it has. We'll get into that much more in the last half Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the NRG Media Time-Saving Traffic Center, a couple accidents to report. One southbound JFK at Q Street, another I-80 westbound in the center lane just before the curve to the ILQ exit. Expect delays in these areas temporarily, and just some slow-moving traffic dodge eastbound starting around 180th up to 144th, as well as I-80 eastbound between I-680 and 84th. Please stay safe and wear that seatbelt. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Come on, when was the last time you had your Fernando's fix? It doesn't get any better than lunch, dinner, carry-out, even catering from Fernando's. Get your Fernando's fix. 114th and Dodge, 75th and Pacific, and FernandosOmaha.com.
Woodhouse Lincoln wants to redefine your driving experience with our stunning lineup of Lincoln vehicles. Lease a 2023 Lincoln Nautilus for $499 a month for 39 months, 10,500 miles per year. Come visit us in store off 114th and Giles Road or online anytime at woodhouselincoln.com. With approved credit, security deposit waived, $1,500 down payment plus first payment, and $299 doc fee due at signing. Offer expires 2/29/2024. See dealer for details.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed. Oh, yeah? Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy. Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Your Creighton Blue Jays are home tonight to take on UConn at 7:30 for Stripe Out CHI Night. Limited tickets are still available for tonight's matchup and can be purchased in advance at gocreighton.com or in person at the CHI Health Center Omaha box office.
Email us on the Equitable Bank inbox with whatever is on your mind. Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can get me, Gary, at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone Inbox.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
If you're having problems in the bedroom, talking about it is the last thing you want to do. Same goes for hair loss, anxiety, or even depression. That's where HIMS comes in. Through HIMS, you don't have to talk about it. You can do something about it. Just go to hims.com/start, where you can find a variety of potential solutions for the problems men face every day and save up to 95% on generic alternatives. The entire process is 100% online, making it incredibly simple, straightforward, and above all, private. If prescribed, treatments made using clinically proven ingredients are shipped directly to your door in low-key packaging. So if you're experiencing ED, hair loss, anxiety, or problems with your general health, you don't have to go to the doctor, the pharmacy, or spend all day talking about it. Just go to hims.com/start and do something about it. Get started today at hims.com/start. That's HIMS.com/START.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, we were hard on Cheryl Swoops about 10 days ago.
Yep.
She got on a podcast, incorrectly said some stuff about Caitlin Clark. We have to say that Cheryl Swoops realized that she had some incorrect information about the eligibility of Caitlin Clark and has apologized to Caitlin Clark. So good on Cheryl Swoops.
Mm-hmm. Always takes a big person to admit when they were maybe misinformed. But
well, she was getting absolutely crushed.
She was.
So
yes, I think that was probably the only route you could go. But what about Jay Williams? Have we heard anything there?
Still shouldn't be allowed on a motorcycle.
I was curious.
I mean, hey, you know what? It's his opinion.
Yeah.
We can disagree with his opinion.
Yeah.
Just like Kenny Smith. I mean, Kenny Smith is there to have an opinion about the NBA All-Star Game. It could be completely wrong.
He was grumpy. He made me look like a happy person.
Well, who wasn't grumpy about the All-Star Game?
Yeah. On Saturday, they were grumpy even at that.
Well, next year could be the last NBA All-Star game, and it's okay. The NFL euthanized the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
They said they had to change.
I was wondering when someone would say what you just said, though.
Well, next year in San Francisco should be the last year. But what they need to do, what actually was the most entertaining part, was Sabrina against Steph. Caitlin Clark has to be involved in the NBA All-Star game weekend next year.
Yep. Real quickly, guys, I want to omit something. Terry corrected me, said when we mentioned the Dave Weber commercials. I think I said this. It was Mutual of Omaha. It was actually Physicians Mutual. He said he wanted to make sure that we said the correct one. He said as an ex-employee of one of the places, he didn't want to give them any. All right. So appreciate that, man.
Right. So here's how I look at All-Star games. Okay, they're not for me anymore. I remember growing up. All-Star games were entertaining and it was treated like competition.
That I went to one.
It's completely changed. The All-Star game and being named to a team is a reward.
Mm-hmm.
The weekend is about parties and not getting hurt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if the stars are not going to participate, then it's going to go nowhere. Think about if LeBron would have participated in the slam dunk competition, where it would have gone and the message it would have sent. But LeBron has never competed in the slam dunk competition.
Not even close.
Just go back to Dominique and Michael and guys that were not only great dunkers, but they were the best players in the NBA at the time.
Yeah.
Even Kobe's been in it.
They participated. LeBron said no. Zion will never participate in the dunk contest.
Mm-hmm.
So let it just go away. All right, just let it. It's fine. You know what? It's not going to be the end of the world if stuff around the All-Star game completely goes away, or the All-Star game period. Now, the only All-Star game where you can't fake it
baseball
is baseball.
Absolutely,
because you can't have a pitcher in the All-Star game, and they only work one inning.
Right.
So they're going to go
like
out
real game.
and they're going to tee it up. But you can't have in the All-Star game a pitcher go out there and all of a sudden throw just BP.
Yeah, and you can't in baseball. I've been saying this for years, Gary. That is the only reason that you have an all-star game in any major league sport or any professional sport because of baseball. You can't replicate that. And I look at it from the defensive standpoint. Pitching, you're spot on, but also if you're a shortstop, okay, maybe you're not going full extension laying out, but you're going to have more guys trying to do that because that's sort of their craft. A lot of these guys weren't just selected because of what they could do at the plate, but what they could do defensively. If they have a chance to track down a fly ball by covering a lot of ground in right or left center field, they're going to do that. Okay, we've seen countless web gems in all-star games where guys are playing because in baseball, if you half-ass it, whether it's defensively or offensively, you can get hurt. Like you could actually get hurt by not trying. So it's one of those things that I watch in baseball that it's impossible to kind of half-ass it. Now, maybe there's an in-between fly ball and you just kind of let it drop in front of you. Okay. But I always feel like on that stage, given the innings, and you're right, that's an important part. You play maybe 1 or 2 innings. Given that stage, you want to show out. And if you have a chance to make a spectacular defensive play, you're going to.
Yeah, the only way I would fix the NBA All-Star game. Now, I think the reaction would have been different. It was close going into the fourth quarter. It was a blowout. Because if you get to the last, 5 to 8 minutes and it's close, probably the intensity changes a bit, but it wasn't. It was a blowout. And there's no fix. And I think players have to realize that there is no fix, and it's okay if it goes away. I mean, is the only fix going to be give guys more money? No. I would like what I think will be the last year of the NBA All-Star game, I would like to see them go, and maybe this saves it, is USA versus international.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Something there.
You have the NBA is dominated by some great international players. And if you look at like the top players in the NBA, there's not a lot of U.S. guys that are in there. But why not have the U.S. versus international and see what that would do to the competition level for 1 year? Because East-West didn't do it. Yeah. Guys pick it. It's okay if you let it go. It's okay if it just do one night. Because I don't know how many people watch Friday. Anybody watch Friday?
I did not know.
I haven't watched Friday in 25 years.
I mean, you maybe would have watched Friday because Wemby was playing.
Mm-hmm.
They had the Rising Stars versus the G League guys. But probably hardly anybody watched Friday. Saturday is, when you want to watch because you get the 3-point competition.
Contest,
Slam dunk is done. Okay, slam dunk is done in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 3-point contest, and more WNBA versus NBA could be in the mix.
Yeah.
But just have it one day. That's it. Next year, last game, say goodbye. Do something different. The NFL did. The NFL actually, people will watch the NFL do anything. I mean, they will watch Russell Wilson sit on the corner. Okay.
But even they've acknowledged, like,
yeah, but
this ain't the same thing.
They had to adjust. I think the NFL is different because people will watch the NFL, period.
Yeah.
Okay. So the NFL changed, and it's actually been kind of fun for the players. This isn't fun for the players.
Right.
So just do one night of skills competition and we move on. Let them have their week off and we're good. Nobody gets hurt. Guys get paid. They make an appearance, whatever. And we're back into the regular season.
The USA International thing is interesting because I do wonder, even in a setting like All-Star Weekend where it's a lot more laid back, as you just discussed, something about that, it kind of becomes like pride of, us versus them, where maybe you do detect a hint of defense. And I'm not trying to be like the old school, like, get off my lawn guy of I need more defense in the All-Star game. But
it's okay. Lean into it.
The whole just like, almost like kind of like it was just like, there was just nothing. It was a glorified layup line. I mean, that's what it is. And so is that the best for your product? I mean, are there other things that you can do in that spot on a Sunday?
Remember what Kobe once said, there was more intensity in the pickup games at UCLA.
Yeah.
Now, he was saying that about the All-Star game and some of the regular season games in the NBA.
Yeah.
It's okay to euthanize it.
I agree.
I'm not a big fan of euthanizing. But in All-Star games, if they're not working and it's just a bore and you can't fix it, it's okay.
I think the NFL was ready to do that with the Pro Bowl.
Well, they did.
But to completely get rid of it and not even have a game.
They did. They don't have a game.
Yeah. Well, they got the flag football game.
So. Well, but that's not what the Pro Bowl used to be.
Right, exactly.
Pro Bowl used to be put on pads and
absolutely.
Sean Taylor would annihilate dudes.
Oh yeah,
blow
punters,
guys' heads off,
and punters would get lit up. But yeah, I mean, it's changed. But I give them credit because they acknowledged, hey, we've got this slot. We can do something entertaining for our fans.
All right, when we come back, we'll get up some emails and some tweets about tonight's big game between UConn Creighton. UConn number 1, Creighton number 15. Sweet 16 matchup. The line is right now sitting at 2.5 in favor of UConn. You got 6 NBA guys that'll be playing. You got Hurley against Mac. You got people that'll be angry because it's UConn. And UConn trying to tell everybody that they just own Creighton, which is not true.
They didn't get a pom-pom.
The stat that they have not won on the road against a ranked team, they're 0 for their last 20, is amazing.
That is amazing.
And they've won a couple of national titles during that stretch.
Yeah, you would think you'd beat the occasional road ranked team here and there.
Mm-hmm. So tonight they'll have a chance to erase that. 0-20. 0-20. UConn on the road, ranked, defending national champion. Remember last year, they were not humming along this time. Last year, they might have been, if I recall, weren't they like about a couple games over 500 about this time last year?
Yeah, they were starting to kind of figure out. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it was kind of a late surge in February in the Big East tournament, then into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. Scary good.
Yeah.
Scary good is what UConn is. Plus, our conversation with Sam about Nebraska's scheduling moving forward has elicited a quite an intriguing email about the future of scheduling for Nebraska football from a fan standpoint, that you have to spend money on tickets. We'll get into that as we roll till 10. BC, AK, still to come. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. The Connor Happer Show.
The first time I ever did the Mel Kiper Jr. impression on TV, as though it was part of the draft. They didn't announce it as a comedic bit or anything. He says his name all the time. He does say McShay. He does say McShay, but it's not as funny as saying Todd. And they kept going, Todd. So I hear your name over and over and over, hit the T hard. Todd.
Yeah, in a way, you've like ruined all Todds. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Flirting with a record high Tuesday after a cool start. Expect mostly sunny skies throughout the day. Warm and breezy with south to southwest winds gusting up to 25 miles per hour in the afternoon. Highs around 66. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
1620 The Zone. traffic.
From the NRG Media Time-Saving Traffic Center. A couple earlier accidents still being tended to, one southbound JFK at Q Street, the other I-80 westbound in the center lane just before the curve to the ILQ exit. And we have some heavy stop-and-go traffic dodge eastbound starting around 180th up to 144th, as well as I-80 westbound starting around 50th through 84th. Please stay safe and wear that seatbelt. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Lauritsen Gardens.
Experience Brick Live Brickosaurs, now open at Lauritsen Gardens. Come face-to-face with a herd of incredible brick-built dinosaurs, discover prehistoric plants, and unearth a ton of fun. To plan your family's Dino-Mite adventure, visit LauritsenGardens.org.
Make the right call. John Higgins Weather Car, the home of the roofery.
When it's time to replace or repair storm damage, make the right call. John Higgins Weather Guard, the local, trusted, and proven choice. No one has installed more DaVinci roofs, and there's a reason why John Higgins Weather Guard is the nation's leader. Community member, community supporter. Make the right call.
John Higgins Weather Car, the home of the roofery. Make the right call.
Velocity Clinical Research in Omaha frequently conducts clinical trials for a broad range of investigational treatments. Typical studies involve medications for acne, allergies, chronic diseases, depression, and others. They also perform vaccine studies for people of all ages, conducting innovative research that has a positive impact on lives. Click for current trials at velocityclinicaltrials.com. More trials are launching in March. Compensation for study-related time and travel. Find out more at velocityclinicaltrials.com.
EasyCater presents We've Got Your Back. Upsingers.
Backing you up. So I order food on EasyCater for a meeting with a new client in Jackson.
Gotta feed clients in Jackson.
On my way to the airport, it hits me. The client is actually in Jacksonville.
Feed clients in Jacksonville. Oopsie.
So I call EasyCater. Nina picks up right away.
Gonna fix it for you.
She called me right back and said, "You're all set."
Nina fixed the Jackson accident.
Jackson? EasyCater has your back with 24/7 support. Order at easycater.com and know
We got your back.
Creighton Sports Update. Hey Blue Jay fans, it's basketball season here at Creighton. So get your tickets and come out and support your Blue Jays. For tickets, go to Ticketmaster.com, gocreighton.com/tickets, or visit the ticket office located at Ryan Athletic Center. And that's your Creighton Sports Update.
1620 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
College basketball's biggest tournament is coming, and it's time to start betting like a pro with the world's largest sports book right at your fingertips. Circa Sports Iowa. It's sports betting the way it should be. High betting limits, tight money line splits, exceptional customer service, and more. Fund and bet like a pro anywhere, anytime. It's never been easier. Download your new bookie before all of the March action at circasports.com. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-238-7633.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
If you're having problems in the bedroom, talking about it is the last thing you want to do. Same goes for hair loss, anxiety, or even depression. That's where Hims comes in. Through Hims, you don't have to talk about it. You can do something about it. Just go to hims.com/start, where you can find a variety of potential solutions for the problems men face every day, and save up to 95% on generic alternatives. The entire process is 100% online, making it incredibly simple, straightforward, and above all, private. If prescribed, treatments made using clinically proven ingredients are shipped directly to your door in low-key packaging. So if you're experiencing ED, hair loss, anxiety, or problems with your general health, you don't have to go to the doctor, the pharmacy, or spend all day talking about it. Just go to hims.com/start and do something about it. Get started today at hims.com/start. That's HIMS.com/START.
The Zone Hotline is powered by 42 Degrees, The Source, by your mom's house.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, our discussion and recognition of Dave Weber going into the Omaha Sports Hall of Fame. Jim writes in on Twitter, I still have a kernel of corn from Webb's famous ear that he gave me when he helped my brother and me get to the field level at the 96 Fiesta Bowl.
Talking about the corn ear, right? Not talking about a piece of...
This isn't the Evander Holyfield.
Is actually
Nothing like that.
Yeah.
This is wholesome content.
What do you think that chunk of ear is going for these days?
Hey, the of all the bowl games that I've been to, the security at that bowl game in Tempe was the hardest.
Oh, they're going to say it's most lax.
That's what I was wondering.
So they gave out too many media credentials.
Yeah.
Now I was on the crew then, so we were in the booth. But if you did not have a credential to get into the press box, because we tried to have some guests come in, they would not allow you at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you had to, and the auxiliary media was in the last row of the upper deck, and you could not leave that area. But their security, like I remember going down post game, and it was tight. Like they were not letting people anywhere near the locker rooms or the field. And now it's changed. I mean, you can get anywhere, but that's look at the Webb's trying to help people get down on the field.
Yeah.
Just open up the gate. G-Fed comes down along with Jim. Like, hey, I just want to put a foot on the field.
Yeah, who was the 95 version of G-Fed? Was it Webb's?
I don't know. You know, on the pregame show, we interviewed Boomer Esiason and Bill Cosby. I'm in the middle of the field interviewing Bill Cosby. Who would have known?
Yeah, if only you'd known at that moment.
Yeah,
that's quite the that's quite the gas lineup right there too.
There was a guy that was on the sidelines when we were interviewing Bill Cosby right in the middle of the field during the pregame show. The guy goes, "Dynamite,
dynamite!"
And Bill Cosby went, "Wrong person." All right, Ed writes into the Equitable Bank inbox. Our discussion earlier about Nebraska's scheduling moving forward. So Matt Rule would like to schedule for Nebraska, and I've always thought that the ideal non-conference schedule is something Nebraska has been following for years and years and years. You play one, you better go buy a program game.
Yep.
It has not been as lopsided as it's been in the past, but there's always that Pacific type team. Then you play a paper tiger that looks good on paper, but it used to be when Nebraska wasn't in the Big Ten, a team like Illinois.
Yes.
Illinois was very appealing, but they were never going to really challenge you.
Michigan State.
But it looked good. And then you would play one difficult non-conference game, home or away, that would get people excited. That's kind of been the formula that Nebraska has followed for years and years and years. And I think it works, and I think it's very fan-friendly. And then you jump into the conference. But now with 9 conference games and the way the conference is set up, it's, you don't have many off games, so to speak. So Matt Rule would like to look at future schedules for Nebraska. And as I said to Sam, the next couple of years are what the ideal Nebraska schedule should be. UTEP, Colorado, Northern Iowa. Okay, so you get your program game, you get your paper tiger, and you get your essentially your marquee game. Next year is Cincinnati and Indianapolis, then Akron, and then Houston Christian. Then Ohio, Tennessee, North Dakota.
Yep.
I hope the Tennessee series stays on because that continues to get pushed back. So unless they go to 10 conference games, I think that's the formula. But I get the feeling that that's not the formula the head football coach wants to have, that we're going to see less Colorados and more UTEP-ish Northern Iowa teams. So the emailer says, as much as we pay for tickets, and I'm one of the Southies, which they still haven't let people know what's going to happen in the South Stadium, I don't believe.
You think they completely know?
Well, they probably don't on how they're going to take care of them for the couple of years that they're going to be out before they come back in, and they're going to be the envy of the rest of the stadium. You know, one fallout I've heard from what they announced about redoing the stadium, there are a lot of people in the north that are not happy because they're not doing anything to the north. And they're like, whoa, we don't have all rainbows and butterflies over here. You better do something for us. I mean, I know he's a guest on this show. He has season tickets in the north. And he's like, I'm not renewing. They're not going to take care of us in the north. I'm not going to renew. So the emailer says, I am one of those Southies and wondering what's going to happen in the future. I am glad to step aside or be relocated, but then I want my seats back. But I also want to pay for marquee games. I have a hard time, on top of what I pay for my seats, paying for FCS games. No offense to the North Dakota States, South Dakota States, or Northern Iowas, but I do not want to pay to watch them play. Those are usually the games that people give up their tickets, and so you have empty seats. Please don't put more of those on the schedule.
And that's actually fair.
I'm with you, Southie.
That's very fair. So I brought this up earlier that I think a lot of this is going to be a little bit more predicated on what the conference wants to do as a whole. But I do think there's a perfect example of why you can't, I don't think, in my opinion, you can force schools based on, like Tony Petitti or Greg Sankey can't force schools to say, hey, guys, you need to schedule group of fives or FCS and non-conference because we are really going to put sort of the premium on our conference games. We feel that product is good enough, and that's where we're going to really put the heavy emphasis. So let's not schedule non-conference Power Fives. There's just no way you can do that. And I think that's another reason why. You have stadium projects that are going on for a university's athletic department that relies on those season ticket holders to come back. You're already making it a big inconvenience for them. But as we know, I can't speak on other fan bases' behalf, but at least on this fan base's behalf, I could say I think Nebraska fans, when it comes to an inconvenience, will put up with it as long as they know they're coming back to not only something better, but also a product, which also this is on the team too, on the Nebraska football product, but the products that are going to be coming in every Saturday.
So that's why I posed the question. If you are a fan, and trust me, hey, I have tickets. They're not getting any cheaper.
Yep.
And you wonder, when am I going to get a return on my investment on the product on the field?
Mm-hmm.
I can't hang on forever. I just don't want to be throwing money away. Love the experience. People get to benefit. They get to go and experience a game day at Memorial Stadium. But, man, I want to start paying for some good football. Would you rather have 10 conference games, so you have 5 on the road, 5 at home, than in Northern Iowa? Like this year, Nebraska doesn't play Northwestern. I don't know how much we're going to pay attention to Northwestern around here. I just don't. They're not on the schedule. So will you really care about Northwestern?
No, you won't if they're not on the schedule.
Which is kind of weird, like the Old West division opponents, which you always dove into and you knew their roster and you knew how they played and you watched them on TV.
We get our weekly chat with Louis Vicaire.
Yeah, now that they're not on the schedule. Are honestly, on 1620 The Zone, are we going to care about Northwestern football this year? They're not playing Nebraska.
No.
So you're going to be like, you know what? They tore down their stadium. They're playing at Lambeau Field. Maybe I'll care when they take on Wisconsin there, which they are going to do.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to play at Lambeau Field against Wisconsin because they don't have a home. But I would, I would take 10 conference games, and that 10th game might be difficult as a fan than paying for a Northern Iowa game.
Yeah.
The SEC is going to go to 9. It's when are they going to do it? Will it not be until 26? So you would have 9 and 9 in the Big 2, which may alleviate some things, but I don't know that either one are going to play each other. And Nebraska does have a couple of SEC opponents on the schedule from Tennessee to Oklahoma down the road.
See, that would be my guess, is that they don't play each other. That at the very least, you're not going to see. So from the Tennessee thing, unfortunately, I think that goes away. I don't think that that'll be something that you'll see going forward with the SEC and the Big Ten. Now, the Big 12 is fascinating because it's a huge conference, and there's a lot to pick from. That I feel like that is the perfect conference to schedule with if you want to still go with the Power Four. I think it's a great schedule partner right there. But more than anything, if it came down to, and I think as we continue to see more teams go in and conference expansion continue, which I'm sure it will, that you get into a situation where you almost have to have 10 games. If you're thinking about the entire picture of what your fans get when it comes to purchasing tickets, like this is something that I'm curious kind of where Trev is on this. Because I understand what Matt Rule is looking at through the lens of their conference, how challenging it is. And they want to give themselves a little bit of a break when it comes to scheduling, which again, I think this day and age compared to even 10 years ago or even 3 years ago is more understandable given the climate of what these conferences look like now. But when it's an athletic director that you want to be able to support such a position by your head coach, you've got to step back from just the football part of it and the loyalty to your head coach and say, okay, but is this best for the athletic department? Are we able to still get the same type of involvement with our fans, season tickets and what have you, if we go to a model of 9 games, FCS, and group of 5s?
No, I don't want an FCS team. And who knows what the FCS is going to look like. No, the FCS may fall apart.
Yeah.
The FCS may be absorbed, and Group of 5 and FCS look exactly the same. Keep me with my marquee game. Everybody else around college. Now, Michigan, we all know what they've done the last 2 years, and they didn't get penalized for it. Their schedule at least has a marquee team in the non-con. I wish more athletic directors were like Georgia. And you look at Ohio State, Texas, Alabama. Their non-con moving forward has won oh my God, that is the game of the day. I remember when Nebraska was approached about this, and Nebraska had some interest. They just didn't have any openings. When Greg McGarity got to Georgia, their athletic director, he was like, and he took feedback from their fans. The fans wanted to go to places they don't normally go to. And they said, we are great college football fans. We got a great venue here between the hedges. Why don't we go to places we've never been? And so their athletic director took that and he said, okay, these are the list of places that I think are college football cathedrals that would be cool for our fans and cool for our players to go play in. One of his first calls was to Sean Eichhorst because Georgia fans wanted to play Nebraska. They had enjoyed their interaction at the bowl game, and they're like, you know what? Georgia at Nebraska, Nebraska at Georgia would be fantastic. And remember, way back in the day, Nebraska was going to play South Carolina. Nebraska would play in the South in a non-con. So their AD got a hold of Eichhorst, and they couldn't get dates to match up because Georgia didn't want to schedule something like 15 years down the road. They wanted to schedule something in about a 10-year period. Or even shorter. It was like 5 to 7 that they wanted to get something on the books, and Nebraska didn't have open dates. But I do give credit to Eichhorst. He was interested because he saw the value of Georgia playing here. And at the time, Georgia was not the beast that they are currently.
Right.
But he saw the value of Georgia playing in Lincoln and Nebraska playing at Georgia, so they couldn't get together. So then the Georgia AD went to plan B, and that was Notre Dame, and they found a home and home with Notre Dame. And so he continued the process where the fans said, man, I'd like to go out west. And they got UCLA on the books at the Rose Bowl, I think before they played in the playoff game against Oklahoma, where their fans went out to the Rose Bowl. But they've got Florida State, they've got Clemson, and they've got Ohio State on their future schedules. I think that's a great way to look at it.
Where do your fans want to go?
And hey.
And then you get that return game at home.
Look at, hopefully, players that you come to Nebraska for 5 years, you're going to get to play in every venue in the Big Ten. I mean, maybe that's, pipe dream because there's 17 different venues.
Right.
But how cool would that be? And then for your fans to be able to go to like the cathedrals of college football. Essentially, when you play in one and your fans go there for 8 Saturdays a year. I love that idea from the Georgia AD. And I don't know if as many coaches and athletic directors are comfortable around the country doing that.
Well, and that's what I always appreciate. You bring up Georgia, but you also mentioned Texas. We've seen Alabama. There are programs, and it's not that they've all done this when they've been at the top of their game. I mean, look at when Texas, how they had scheduled, even when they were kind of struggling. Like they would get that marquee matchup with Ohio State. They would get that marquee matchup now with Alabama. And, that's a program that up until this year had kind of had that narrative of just falling short of the expectations. But I do applaud them for doing that. There's a lot of that type of thinking. And I don't know if it's the same as the Georgia idea of, hey, we want to reward our fans to be able to go to different places. But more than anything, I look at it as what you're creating your brand during the non-conference part of the season, because you have those opportunities of getting the primetime game. You have those opportunities of having all the pregame shows there and hyping up not only that matchup, but also your school, the things that your school does, the things that either you're currently doing to be successful or the things that you're currently trying to do to be on the precipice of success. Like all of those things, we saw it when Nebraska played Ohio State.
How about this? Where's Iowa fan? Where are you at? So this is the future non-con for Iowa. And granted, they play Iowa State, and they should play Iowa State every year. Illinois State, Iowa State, Troy. FAU, Iowa State, UMass. Northern Illinois, Iowa State, Northern Iowa. Ball State, Iowa State. Western Michigan, Northern Illinois. I think Northern Illinois is the last game that they have on the books, and that is not until 2029. Iowa fans good with that?
Sexy.
That actually may be, as we talk about, man, let's play marquee games and Oklahomas and the Tennessees that are on Nebraska's future schedule. Maybe Iowa has the scheduling down pat. That's the future schedule. Matt Rule is more attractive to that schedule than the schedule that gives you Ohio, Tennessee, North Dakota. Why are we making college football worse? Why are we not making it better? And then we also have to bring into the equation. I'm Peacock. I'm not paying a boatload of money, or CBS a boatload of money to get me Iowa and Troy.
Well, you brought up probably the multi-million-dollar question to Sam. And I think that's the question that remains to be seen, but I think it is something that will have an impact. What do the TV partners want to start to nudge? Because we talked about the conference commissioners in the conferences trying to maybe be somewhat aligned in how they want to schedule going forward. Because I truly do think that there is going to be peer pressure. That's how I've felt. But if the TV partners come in and say, this is what we would like to see, well, you're at their mercy.
Here's Calvin on the stream. Give me a MAC/Mountain West school, a random Sunbelt/American Conference USA school, and a Power 4 school every year. So Western Michigan, Nevada, Louisville, and the non-con, just as an example.
And then you throw in
So that's kind of that's
a solid just a Power 4.
I think that Calvin's point is probably where Nebraska's future schedules are going to go. And I'd love to see that Tennessee series stay on the books.
I would too.
It will. It's only a couple of years away. We've kicked that down the road so much because I think originally it got pushed back because Tennessee played Virginia Tech in Bristol at the Speedway.
Okay.
And so that's why it got pushed back. And then it got pushed back again.
At least you'll have the video game to schedule it.
I want to real quickly go back to Iowa.
Where's Scott Frost here? Remember going to play all the old Big 8 schools?
I like that. I want to see more Big 8 teams involved. But that's kind of so like
Iowa. A conference of 8 schools, regionally based.
Is Iowa? I guess you asked about the comfort level that Iowa has. Are you confident or comfortable with that matchup alone between Iowa and Iowa State and the rivalry there is going to keep your fans happy, entertained? What they're paying for home games is going to keep them fine with that being the sole Power 4 team that you play every year. And there's going to be some years, and we've seen it, that Iowa State is actually a damn good matchup. It's a ranked opponent, as opposed to other years that they might be a little bit more lean, that you're okay with that. Because there have been years where you could look at Iowa State as far as the product is very similar to a Group of 5 team. And there's been other years where it's like, okay, it's a decent top 25 team. It's to me,
Iowa State a Group of 5 team.
Well, at times their product has looked like that.
Whoa, Matt Campbell's on line 1.
Well, he used to be from a Group of 5, so it's fine. He understands. To me, if I'm a fan of Iowa, and maybe it's just because I don't get the rivalry as much, to me that would get a little bit stagnant. I would want at least something else, a little bit more sizzle on top of that game. If you're going to keep that game, that's fine. But I would think maybe every 4 years you've got to find something else for your fans other than Northern Illinois and Northern Iowa.
So you're penalized. I mean, you do what you do.
And that's true,
I
too.
just think your fans deserve better. College football deserves better matchups. We pay a lot of money for football. We pay a lot of money now to watch games that are not in our stadium.
Exactly. Streaming services. I mean, it's not just a ticket anymore, too. It's what you're paying to actually access those games on TV.
All right, 48 past the hour. More tweets and emails on this discussion. Plus, we inch closer. We'll give our final thoughts on what happens tonight between UConn and Creighton. 7:30 tip. We'll have the pre, the play, and the post all right here on the Zone or on FS1 if you would rather watch on television. Bill Raftery is in town. Yes. Big game. Raftery is courtside.
It's always a big game when Raftery's there.
8:49. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. The best way to catch all the action is on 1620 The Zone. And no line for the bathroom.
You can find pizza anywhere. But when you want pizza pie piled high with more toppings, That's when you come to my place, Godfather's Pizza. For a limited time, get your hands on 2 of my large one-topping pizzas. Thick pepperoni, beef, black olives, you choose. All this food for only $30. Feed your whole mob without breaking the bank. Hey, it's an offer you can't refuse. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
I'm Patrick Claybon with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. It appears the Steelers have a big decision to make about their quarterback situation this offseason. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette is reporting there could be some internal division within the organization about whether Mason Rudolph should be the starter over Kenny Pickett based on his success down the stretch in 2023. Rudolph started and won all 3 of the team's final regular season games and led the Steelers to the playoffs after Pickett went down with an ankle injury. Rudolph set to become an unrestricted free agent. Meanwhile, the Patriots have decided to part ways with defensive tackle Lawrence Guy and safety Adrian Phillips, according to NFL Network insider Tom Pelissero. Guy joined the Patriots as a free agent in 2017 and Phillips in 2020. Both appeared in all 17 games for New England last season. And the Ravens signed wide receiver Nelson Aguilar to a 1-year contract extension. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2. Have a plan to get there. Step 3. Make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all 3 with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI.
Jordan B. Peterson, We Who Wrestle with God Tour.
If you say the truth and nothing else, you'll have an immense adventure as a consequence. You won't know what's going to happen to you, but the truth will reveal the world the way it's intended to be revealed, and the consequence for you will be that you'll have the adventure of your life.
Jordan B. Peterson, live at CHI Health Center, February 22nd. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com.
1620 The Zone at 1620thezone.com. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
So a lot of comparisons about what the atmosphere will be like tonight against number 1 UConn. Seton Hall to me was the loudest, most energetic crowd. I think more about that day, that Saturday, where fans were on the floor. Kevin Willard made a big deal about they already had the banner printed that they unveiled. How eerie it was and what would happen just a few days later. Because there was also the Zagorowski injury.
That's right. Yep.
Surrounding that win against Seton Hall. But it'll be a great atmosphere tonight downtown. We're not taking any more calls. We're not taking any more tweets about it. I hope the crowd is loud. If they're not loud, that's on you. Okay, it's a big game. Enough said. Number 1 team in the country is here. And neither team played exceptional the first time. UConn won by 14. You have more faith that Creighton will be different or UConn will be different? One has won 14 in a row. What, Creighton's won 3 in a row? Kind of starting to hit their stride post Butler.
That's a great question because, again, UConn was off that night too. I feel like Creighton offensively will be different. UConn, they're going to have a presence, and that presence, even when they're not making some shots, can be good enough to beat most teams in the Big East. I expect Creighton to be a little different tonight. Now, the big question is, will that be good enough to win? Which, if we're waiting until the end?
Yeah, no.
No.
You're a little premature. Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I'm jumping the gun on this one, but I still have UConn win this one. I think that they more than cover the 2.5. I think it's probably about an 8-point victory.
All right.
It'll be a game that's probably in the 80s. Creighton maybe trying to play a little catch up there towards the end. But yeah, I think UConn is pulling away at the end, winning 88-80.
Let me, that is really high. Let me do a little check here. Let me go to my FanDuel account, which the futures for Nebraska in the NCAA tournament were kind of interesting when I saw that pop across. So the line is at 2.5. What did you say? 88-80?
88-80.
You would obliterate the total.
What is the total?
The total is 144.5.
Oh, wow. So we're getting something similar to what we saw in stores then? I think we see a lot of offense tonight.
Well, in stores, it was 62-48.
Yes. Which made it almost seem closer than it was. But again, not a sterling offensive night for UConn either.
One thing I like about this UConn team, this is what bodes very well. Now they're loaded. They got dudes. They got dudes up and down their lineup. They have their big. They don't have just necessarily a big three. They have a big 5 plus 6 plus Diarrhea, who came off the bench against Marquette. So they got like a plus 7. And Creighton has their big 3. And then I'm going to throw Ashworth in there. So they have their big 3 plus their 1. The one thing that is scary moving forward about UConn and will bode well for when they get to March and they begin the run to try and win another national championship is they are very unselfish. Like, it doesn't matter if Newton gets his buckets one night, Castle's not upset, or the next night Castle gets his buckets, and all of a sudden Spencer is hitting shots and, hey, how come I'm not getting my points? Man, for that team with that amount of talent, and they got 4 NBA dudes on their roster, like are going to go in the NBA draft, to be as unselfish as they are, to share the basketball. They don't care who scores. Ooh, that is frightening. That is absolutely frightening for teams that are going to have to face off against UConn. That it's not just, hey, shut down this guy.
Yeah.
Like I think it'll be a neutral matchup. If you take Alexander, Kalkbrenner, and Shireman tonight against Klingon, Castle, and Newton, I think that'll neutralize itself. That's why I continue to go back to Spencer and Caravan are the worries if I'm Creighton against UConn. What do I have for them? You know, what can Ashworth match Spencer? I mean, is Miller going to match Caravan, who is a 40% three-point shooter?
It is all over the place, too. And that's the thing about Caravan, too. The way that he creates shots, he is, especially from in the corner, but it always seems like that's where he's getting the open looks. But we just talk about watching guys move away from the basketball and try to create shots. Like Caravan, the dude never runs out of steam. So he's a problem. I mean, he's a matchup problem, and he creates a lot of that. So that's going to be a tough one. Nothing against Mason Miller, and just that rotating four too. Like you're down to what we talked about this not too long ago about what Mac trusts. Like that area.
Does he trust? I mean, he's really going to trust Green in this game,
right?
Now he'll trust Farabello. Farabello deserves to be on the floor.
But I mean, how much of Isaac Trout are you going to see in this game?
How much of Isaac Trout have you seen of late?
Not much. So it kind of probably answers your question right there too.
All right, Brian Christopherson's coming up next. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the NRG Media Time-Saving Traffic Center. Roads looking pretty good for the most part if you're traveling Dodge eastbound. Still a little slow between I-680 and 72nd. And just as a reminder, some construction starting this morning at eastbound Dodge 79th has the right lane closed up to 78th. Other than that, please stay safe and wear that seatbelt. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
Cash Blast from the Nebraska Lottery is back. Up until April 2nd, buy a 2x2 ticket and enter to be one of 14 weekly winners of $5,000 or $500. Details at nelottery.com. 2x2 top prize odds, 1 in 105,000.
The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Email me, Connor Happer, with the Connor Happer Show at Connor, CONNOR, at 1620thezone.com. Send me your love, your hate, and maybe a few hot takes. The Zone Inbox, presented by Equitable Bank.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Put your coffee department in good hands with Host Coffee Service, providing direct delivery and loaned coffee equipment with service programs. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Post Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
Your Creighton Blue Jays are home tonight to take on UConn at 7:30 for Stripe Out CHI Night. Limited tickets are still available for tonight's matchup and can be purchased in advance at gocreighton.com or in person at the CHI Health Center Omaha box office.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Oh, I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members of FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
The needs of modern businesses are always changing, but corporate cards haven't evolved in decades. Until now. Meet Ramp, the all-in-one finance platform that combines corporate cards with spend management software. Ramp is the only card designed to actually help your business spend less, not more. With Ramp, you can set custom controls to stop out-of-policy spend before it even happens. And Ramp software even does expense reports for you. No more manual entries, no more chasing receipts. And with best-in-class accounting integrations, you'll close your books in days, not weeks. Ramp gives you better insights and a real-time view of all company spend, so you can stay focused on the big picture and build a healthier business. Join over 15,000 businesses who have switched to Ramp and start saving an average of 5%. Modern finance runs on Ramp. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. That's RAMP.com/sports.
Howdy, Greg Wagner joining you from the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. Time now for another Nebraska Outdoor Update. Say, there's a lot to do this season in Nebraska's outdoors. There's always hiking in the state parks. There's bird watching. There's trout stream fishing. There's scouting for that spring wild turkey hunting trip. And there's looking for shed deer antlers in your favorite woods. So there's no reason to be a couch potato, is there? No. Get outdoors and enjoy. And that'll wrap it up. I'm Greg Wagner with Nebraska Game and Parks.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, big game tonight downtown between Creighton and UConn, and then tomorrow, big game for Nebraska. We'll be interested in how Indiana looks at it, as Nebraska will go on the road to Bloomington to take on Indiana. We welcome in from Husker 24/7, Brian Christopherson. Good morning, BC.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Not too bad. I should be good, right? Yeah. You asked it in a tone where you wondered if I might be hurting or something.
Are you? Is there something
No.
Something you're going through?
You're busy. You're churning out all kinds of content. But on that note, let me ask you about your football team real quick. Your NFL football team.
Oh,
it's a good response.
Hey, isn't the reported non-guaranteed contract that the Vikings offered Kirk Cousins, isn't that a wise move by the Vikings?
I don't even know what the figures are, Gary. I didn't even give it a look yesterday, so I wouldn't be able to offer good commentary on it. But I want Kirk back. I've been a big Kirk guy, even when everybody liked to get the whip out on him. And so I hope it happens. But I didn't see what the particulars were of the deal. I just think it's always harder. Everybody's like, oh, they have these big ideas like, we're going to draft so-and-so, you're going to make this move for a quarterback. It can be very difficult to find a top 10 to top 12 guy in the league. And you can have that search for quite a while. You can ask a few franchises in particular about that. So I am quite content with Kirk and with the receivers we have, and let's go with it and trying to get the defense a little bit better as we do it.
All right, let's shift to basketball. So not only in churning out all kinds of great content and covering basketball, you guys also have to have the fun task, because Schaefer always says this is the funnest thing I ever do is monitoring our message board. With the year that Nebraska is having, because we're after Valentine's Day, and Nebraska's in the mix to be in the NCAA tournament, which we haven't said very often around here. Have you noticed, and maybe interacting with your readers, have you noticed a re-engagement of some people that are just football people that all they really care about is Nebraska football? They'll watch basketball, but they're not really emotionally attached. Have you noticed people re-engaging with Nebraska basketball of late?
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of every day someone new trying to figure out like the net rankings and like how that works and like why does it why does this one against Ohio State count for a quad 2 at PBA, but it could be a quad 1 there? It like makes us, So there's every day. It feels like there's a new entry into that conversation, which I appreciate. We got another. You feel like you snagged another, and so that's always exciting. I wrote about it a little yesterday. It's just more people are watching the other games too. Like, they're keeping an eye on the 2 Big Ten games that are on BTN on a given night, or they're factoring like, okay, we've got someone on our board who does an excellent job. Every board should have a person like this who's like, okay, these are the 4 to 5 games to watch tonight that could impact Nebraska's net standing and all that. And so people are kind of dialed into that. And what it makes me wishful for is those days of my youth, with football being the same way, where this was a place that they loved watching their Huskers, but they would also specialize in, okay, what's the top 25 scoreboard for the day?
Yeah.
I'm of course nostalgic for an older time when you would hear the scores on the radio driving home, and they would play like old, boys choir from the university singing like the Notre Dame fight song in the background as they gave those scores. We probably aren't going back to that, but I do hope we get back soon to like, okay, Nebraska's ranked 18th. Did you see what happened over here? And then there's an argument on Sunday about Nebraska dropped the spot for no reason whatsoever. Like I long for those days, but I'm definitely seeing a little bit of that with basketball, where it's not just engagement with the team itself, but the entire sport, of college hoops and how it works together. So that's a lovely thing.
Tomorrow night against Indiana, does it feel different to you, Brian? Everything on the road is what it is, okay? But the fact that Nebraska was able to really control Indiana at home, I mean, really from the get-go, I mean, maybe the first 5 minutes were in doubt, but then after that, Nebraska won that thing going away. Because I know we can compare the other example I bring up was Northwestern, where Nebraska kind of held on, and you knew maybe there was a little bit of fool's gold there. Maybe that was just strictly, what they did at Pinnacle Bank Arena. But it just seemed like that was a good matchup for Nebraska. Does that change anything the way that you look at tomorrow night's game on the road against Indiana?
Yeah, there's something to pick from that, but every game's its own animal, and really a big part of Nebraska's success, especially when they've got it done recently at home on the defensive end, is Bryce Williams and obviously Sammy Hoiberg, coming off the bench. And that's the thing when I look at Indiana. I think their point guard play is average, so it's a little suspect. They're playing the young guy right now with Cups a little bit more. Xavier Johnson's been, had an okay career, and it's sort of stayed there. It's the type of game where Bryce and Nebraska's guards have to really make it difficult for Indiana to get into their sets, I think, and just be disruptive. And even those first 5 to 10 seconds on the shot clock, sort of throwing an offense out of whack. And I think that often means so much in a possession. So I think that's going to be key. This weekend, kind of a ho-hum game, which was fine. That's all Nebraska needed to do. And they played good defense. And Bryce Williams, I think, had 2 points, but he was one of the best players on the floor because of what he did on that end of the court, and how he took the point guard out of the game. So the guy, though, that they're going to have to really try to contain a bit is Ware. He had 16 boards against Northwestern, and he's got that ability to have a game like that. And we know Nebraska's defensive rebounding struggles there. So it just can't be one of those games where, with 12 minutes left in the second half, we're doing the running total on how many offensive boards the other side has and what the plus minus is there. Like that. Fred always says it's that and the turnovers, and he's so right. Like if it always comes down to this. If Nebraska wins both, they win the game. If they win one, it's going to go right to the wire. And if they lose both, they'll lose the game. And he says it's as simple as that a lot of times, and it ends up being the case.
Is this a talking point internally, you think, about road struggles? I mean, we talk about it ad nauseum. And what you just laid out is absolutely true, BC, about how you win in Assembly Hall tomorrow. But no one has any clue what Nebraska team's going to show up. Will we get the one that was in Champaign, or will we get the one that's in Northwestern? And those were only a couple of days apart. Do you think this weighs on them internally about how they can't win on the road? And it's not just a one-off thing. It has been like a familiar theme the last few years is Nebraska just can't win away from Pinnacle Bank Arena.
I think it's got to a little bit because, how do you block it out, right? Yeah. I mean, it's the one big conversation piece that's a negative with this particular squad. And I've said it before on here, if they had grabbed one of those road games, but if they even had one of them right now, I just think it's that offer that's attached to it that's making it such a big deal. Like, obviously, like 1-6 on the road wouldn't be ideal, but if you look around the league, you're sort of like, okay, aside from, like Purdue and stuff, there's a lot of teams that have like 2 wins or less, away from home. So you'd be like, okay, it's not great, but we're not talking about like we are now. But it's that offer, so they've really got to get over the hump, and I do think it is a conversation piece of some sort over there. That'd be interesting to ask Fred today, though, like how much you actually bring that up with your team, or is that something that actually, in fact, I can ask that. Just like, is that something that you find like that isn't beneficial actually to keep putting in front of them? But it's hard to miss, so I'm guessing it's on their minds.
Yeah, you kind of touched on my next question, and that is the amount of challenges that Fred has as a head coach, as any coach does. How big of a challenge is it to sort of manage this part of the conversation with Nebraska basketball? Because there's plenty there that Fred likes. I think that you've seen from his emotion from a loss compared to a win. You've seen it, I think, appropriately kind of verbalized when he speaks to the media. How do you, at this point of the season, knowing that you're getting down to it, how do you address it? How do you manage it? Is it something you talk about? Is it something that you address the elephant in the room, or you don't? I don't know what you do at this point when trying to handle that part of the conversation.
I think one way you can go at it is you say, look, Illinois, top 15 team. If not a foul call in the last possession, you win the game. You're there for 40 minutes. Obviously, Nebraska made that great run the last 3, but they were there. They had a chance to win it. And then I think you look even at like Minnesota and Rutgers, and you tell your guys, it's not like you can't play good ball on the road. There have been stretches where it has happened. It's just been that it's been like in that 25 to 32 minute variety of okay basketball, and then there's that slip. And so that to me, I go back to the defense though. Like when you go on the road, I sometimes do think you are going to sometimes walk into, even though you don't want to, a scoring drought here or there. But my question is, can Nebraska bring the lunch pail like they did against Penn State? That's why some people are calling it like a boring game, an ugly game. I get it why it was being called that, but it was an encouraging game, and Fred said as much afterwards, because Nebraska was actually like 4 of 21 from 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
And they won by 19 because the defense, which is portable, and is something you hope you can take on the road, was so dialed in. And now Penn State was a little limited as they're going through a roster transition. But nonetheless, Nebraska played really good on that end of the court and showed what they can do. And I think that's the thing. Can they go on the road against Indiana and Ohio State and force that team in their own building into like a 4.5 minute drought at some point too, where there's that stretch where even if you're not scoring, you're not letting up on the defensive end where you let your little drought turn into like a 10-0 run the other way. And so that to me is going to be the biggest thing, is if they can kind of combat the natural struggles that sometimes come on the road by making the home team go through it a little bit too, because your defense is so dialed in.
Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7 joining us. How cool is Tyson Terry? I know you got a chance to talk to him.
Yeah.
He was dominant on the mat this weekend. He's going to go for his 4th straight state title. He's never lost. He's 136-0. He's coming off of his 3 years in high school. I thought this was his best year as a defensive tackle. But how cool is this kid on his mission to do well in football and wrestling?
Unbelievably cool. I'm not going to act like I'm like best friends with his family going back to high school, but it's a fun story for me because I went to Omaha North, and his dad, Ryan Terry, was actually in school when I was there. And I remember writing for the high school newspaper when North won the state tournament, and Dustin Terry's a relative in his family who won 2 state titles too. And so, they've got 7 state championships in the Terry name now. His dad has 2 and Dustin has 2, and cool. Tyson's topped them now with 3. And the thing that I was asking him about, I understand that when you're that good at wrestling, you expect to win and all that, but I've always thought, like, man, that's a ton of pressure, right? Like, I think about that all the time. Like, if a guy's like 134-0 in his high school career, and everybody that's going against you has been working in the gym for like 3 months, like on the match, trying to get to that point where they take you down, and that's been the focus. You've been like their Ivan Drago that's been on the wall that they come. Like, and he didn't let anybody come close to touching him.
No.
You know, that's the thing about it. It's just like he wasn't even really tested. No disrespect to those other guys, but I think they'd say the same thing, and that they've got a lot of work to do. And so he's just got such a mindset where he's like, I've trained for this since I was 4 or 5. You know, with his dad helping coach him and all that. I know my techniques and stuff from all that work and who I've worked with and how hard I work. And I just expect that to pay off. And that's the confidence I have, even when there is the weight of, can you stay undefeated for your whole career going on? So very, very cool dude. And I know he gets the comparisons with Nash.
Yep. I was just going to ask that. Yep.
Yeah, you can't help but think about it. He says at this point, he doesn't think he's going to probably do the Husker wrestling thing, which I understand. It's a lot to take on. Anything can change, but that's not in his plans right now. But I think he's one of those guys in the recruiting class that is starting to build now, where I just feel like he's got a high enough floor that there's going to be some success. And then it's just exciting to see like how high does the ceiling extend then. But I love those recruits. And I wrote about this the other day too, where you feel like their floor is sturdy enough that you're going to get a good career out of them some way or another. You just are wondering like how really good can that career be? And I think he's got the right mindset to really take off with that.
Yeah, because I know he's not going to be an early enrollee. He's going to go for the 4-peat, obviously. But when you talk about the comparisons to Nash, and there's a sport, if you're going to not be an early enrollee, but you're going to be still sticking around, I mean, that's quite the sport that's going to help his craft. You know that.
Yeah.
If you do, though, kind of look at, and this goes not just him, but we saw this a lot with Malachi, the involvement that even when they're not early enrollees, being able to attend practices, being able to stay kind of engaged with what everyone's doing. Is there kind of a thought that, early enrollee is obviously going to give you a jump into the competition, but if you're kind of active and you're getting out there, there's still a lot you can take in and still a lot that you can kind of even learn, depending on your involvement when they have spring ball going on.
Yeah. And first off, I think it's cool to go chase the 4-peat. I mean, I think we can't lose some of that I know the early enrollee thing is very useful to guys, and I understand that part of it too, but there are certain cases where it's like, yeah, go do that. You like, or if a kid's got like a great track career going and he's going for some school records or something or state records, I'm all for guys doing that. But I think you make a good point, Nick, about, he can get down here and for some spring stuff and see what's going on. And I could bring up another name from last year. I think I hope I'm remembering this off the cuff. There's so many guys on the roster. Occasionally you can mix them together, but Van Poppel, I believe, was a summer arrival last year. And he's a guy who, popped in and played some snaps. And I think is positioned to take off really well this year at the, similar position to what Tyson would be playing. So I think you can definitely, especially if you're wrestling, and there's no better workout for athletes will say than that, like what you're putting your body through and your mind through. You could do that, be in amazing shape, show up, and still contribute. And especially with the 4-game redshirt rule and all that, it can work out pretty well for you.
Hey, well, I'll get you out on this. So let's talk some quarterback recruiting. And we're talking about getting the 25 quarterback before the star 24 quarterback and, 2 in the class even hit the field for spring football. But we focused on Alex Mansky, and he stays home in Iowa. Then we focus on Dylan Duff because the whole offensive staff went to St. Louis. He committed to Kansas State last night, and he's built up a relationship with the head coach, the OC, and his quarterback coach in Manhattan. Now Nebraska is on to TJ Lateef, who is a 4-star from Orange County, California, who is actually going to visit for the spring game. When Nebraska gets their next quarterback commitment, the reason why they chose Nebraska will be what?
Because they believed in what Rule says about it, that like go to the place that gives you the best, like from the ground up teaching, like find that place where you believe in the coaches and the system and how they're going to develop you as a player, and the rest can take care of itself. And don't get caught up necessarily trying to project like, oh, this guy's got 2 years and it's this guy, that sort of thing, because a lot of times it doesn't happen exactly like that. Like, people can map it out all they want, like, oh, it's going to be Ryla for this long, then somebody else. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, obviously there's an expectation Ryla is going to do some things here and take off for a while, but there's not like there's never that set path. It very rarely follows exactly what it looks people think in their heads. So I think if you can get the type of prospect who understands that and sees how fluid things can be at that position, and also knows that it is often a spot where the second or third guy 1 year suddenly can be the man by the second week of October, it can be pretty appealing. And, they've only right now got, 3 scholarship quarterbacks. So yes, there is sort of that where you'd say, oh, there's a log jam because there's 2 true freshmen there. But again, you don't know what's going to happen with everybody's career. And the numbers aren't like really overwhelming to get in the way of a guy committing. So I remember Michael Huffman from Bellevue West, when Danny Kalin was deciding what to do. He told me, he was talking to Danny about it. He's like, if you actually look at the situation before you, it's one of the better competitive situations for a guy to walk into. You got a really high profile guy, but he's the same age as you. You only got one other guy who's sort of a semi-veteran in the program, and that's it. Like that shouldn't detract you from going there. And so I would think kind of the same in this one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. BC, as always, we appreciate it. Thank you. Enjoy tomorrow night for Nebraska, Indiana, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
That's Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7. You can follow him on Twitter at Husker 24/7 BC. Mad respect for Tyson Terry, who is 136-0. He's got 3 straight state titles. He is with there's a lot of distractions out there, family distractions, that he has remained really, really focused. I thought this was his best year on the field as a defensive tackle for Omaha North. He's in a program that Larry Martin holds you to a standard, and Larry was tough on him as a sophomore because Tyson got built up as a freshman. I didn't think he was very good as a sophomore. I thought he took a lot of plays off. Last year, I saw Omaha North play 4 times in person. He didn't take plays off. And then watching him wrestle this year and just his dominance, man, I'm a big, big fan. I think that's a big pickup for Nebraska, where the kid's not done. Now, will he wrestle in college? It'd be nice, but wouldn't that also be cool that you could finish your high school career? And he's going to go to the Ironman in December, which will be that'll be some of the most difficult competition that he'll have.
That's crazy.
But man, walk off the mat next February in Omaha as a 4-time state champion, and that's it. And you put your shoes in the middle of the mat. How cool would that be?
Yeah. That's it. That was also one of those things that I didn't really know much about in covering state wrestling, when they put the shoes down and it's done for them. That for a career like that, to cap it off with a 4-peat. We talked about how rare it is. Like, we want to know, has anybody ever 4-peated in 2 sports? Like, have you been a state champion 4 times in football and 4 times in wrestling, which is, maybe it exists somewhere, don't know, but to just 4-peat as a wrestler, especially at that weight. And as you get older too, and like what BC said, like you are the gold standard. So you've got everybody training to try to take you down, and yet you make it look easy. Like that's, and I know that there's the comparisons to Nash Hutmacher. I mean, hell, they almost even kind of look alike too, but it's just one of those sports when I think of guys that are going to play defensive line, and I had an opportunity to watch a couple of those guys. Ironically, they both went to Iowa, but to see those guys up close and personal and just the sheer force that they have, and to watch them for 2 years from their junior year and their senior year, just so much respect for those guys that can stay on top of that, and then to watch it translate into what they do at the line of scrimmage too, where it's just as nasty. That's why I feel like those guys are as prepared. That's why I wouldn't worry about a guy that is going to finish out his wrestling career in high school as opposed to being an early enrollee, because you are getting so much valuable competition and structure in that type of sport right there. That's only going to benefit you on the football field.
He's a great kid. Whether he's going to Nebraska or not, I mean, I don't care. I'm a big Tyson Terry fan. All right, Andy Kendi will join us here in a little bit, 25 past the hour. Don't forget UConn and Creighton. If you haven't heard, playing the night. Little important game going on downtown in that little venue. 6 o'clock is the pregame with Jimmy. 7:30 is tip-off. You don't want to miss it. And I guess now tickets are gone. So everybody bought up all the singles that were out there.
Good.
So remember, if you're in the upper bowl, bring a pom-pom. If you're in the low bowl, they got you taken care of.
Gary will throw you one.
It's mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
And I thought the quote from Ted Carter when he was asked the controversies that have followed Ross Bjork, Carter said, "A calm sea never produced a good sailor."
That made me laugh too.
To which I would say,
Thank you,
it makes a big difference, though, when the guy you hired is the one throwing the bombs in the ocean to make rough seas.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Flirting with a record high Tuesday after a cool start. Expect mostly sunny skies throughout the day. Warm and breezy with south to southwest winds gusting up to 25 miles per hour in the afternoon. Highs around 66. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
You can find pizza anywhere. But when you want pizza pie piled high with more toppings, that's when you come to my place, Godfather's Pizza. For a limited time, get your hands on 2 of my large one-topping pizzas. Pick pepperoni, beef, black olives. You choose. All this food for only $30. Feed your whole mob without breaking the bank. Hey, it's an offer you can't refuse. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
Woodhouse Lincoln wants to redefine your driving experience with our stunning lineup of Lincoln vehicles. Lease a 2023 Lincoln Nautilus for $499 a month for 39 months, 10,500 miles per year. Come visit us in store off 114th and Giles Road or online anytime at woodhouselincoln.com. With approved credit, security deposit waived, $1,500 down payment plus first payment, and $299 doc fee due at signing. Offer expires 2/29/2024. See dealer for details.
Your Creighton Blue Jays are home tonight to take on UConn at 7:30 for Stripe Out CHI Night. Limited tickets are still available for tonight's matchup and can be purchased in advance at gocreighton.com or in person at the CHI Health Center Omaha box office.
If you only have a 401k, you're not getting the most for retirement.
Wait, what?
Add a Robinhood IRA on top, then they'll boost it by 3%.
You can do that?
And if you transfer in any retirement account, you get 3% on top of that.
Is there a limit to the match?
No limit. Robinhood Gold gets you the biggest contribution match of any IRA on the market. Sign up for Robinhood Gold at Robinhood.com/boost by April 30th. Subscription fees apply.
Investing involves risk. 3% match requires gold for 1 year from first match. Must keep IRA for 5 years. Match on transfers subject to additional terms and conditions. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC.
Hey guys, it's Nick for Hims. Have you noticed your energy isn't quite what it was? Maybe you're losing your hair. Maybe you're having issues performing in bed. And maybe you think these things are uncommon. Well, they're not. That's the good news. 52% of men over 40 experience some form of ED, and male pattern hair loss affects about 50% of men by age 50. The good news, through Hims, you can upgrade your daily routines with prescription treatments that can make a big difference and help you regain your confidence and help you feel like yourself again. So if you want to regrow your hair, have better sex, or tackle anxiety and depression, you don't have to go to the doctor, the pharmacy, or spend all day talking about it. Just go to Hims.com and do something about it. Hims treatments fit seamlessly into your everyday routine. So once you get treatment, taking care of your health problems is surprisingly simple. Hims has helped millions of guys just like you get help for their health problems. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/start. That's hims.com/start for your free online visit. HIMS.com/START.
Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Yesterday, along the lines of my sports watching day yesterday, is I watched the Creighton UConn women's game. Then I watched the Daytona 500. I lost some money because the big one, which happened with 9 laps to go, took a couple of my guys out.
Yeah, Keselowski, right?
But I will be right back there in Atlanta. It's always fascinating. Like, have you guys been to a NASCAR race?
No, but I was going to go.
But have you been to like a
Yes.
Yeah, you've been to a car.
Yes.
So the sound of cars crashing,
Mhm.
especially at a super speedway, is very jarring.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like, if you have an accident here on Dodge Street and all the cars start piling up, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then as you watch it unfold, but what I loved is when that happened and you knew that if you were watching the race and there were only 5 cautions, but there were 2 big accidents. And that one you could feel was coming just the way they were racing,
Mhm.
is to hear the radio activity of drivers that are not involved in the accident because they're not talking while they're getting spun around. They hit the wall.
Right.
But Chase Elliott went through, and to hear him on the radio live talking to his crew was like, wow. Like he's trying to dodge and dive as he's whipping through it. But if you go to a super speedway or any racetrack, and just the accident, the sound is really, really jarring. But yeah, that screwed me last night.
How'd your fantasy team do?
We actually did okay. Good. Because on NASCAR.com in the second slot, I had William Byron.
Oh, okay.
Who ended up winning the race, which
Good
was
job.
nice for Hendrick. But also yesterday, I was watching PFPs. You'll know what that is.
Pitcher fielding practice, hell yeah.
Pitchers fielding their position.
Yep.
So I watched that because, spring training is going on. And then I listened to Mike Trout. Man.
Poor guy.
We like loyalty, but sometimes there's like, man, you are loyal to a fault.
Yes, he is.
So right now he is not wanting a trade out of Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
Anaheim will do that to you.
Oh, sure.
They had one of the best players on the planet walk away and they got nothing.
Yep.
They have not really replaced him, even though they're in pursuit of Blake Snell and Cody Bellinger.
Mm-hmm.
Pacoda has them as a 74-win team.
It's very Angels-like.
I know that playing for the Angels kills your enthusiasm about baseball. Ask Anthony Rendon. But do you think that Mike Trout wants to win?
I thought he did. I really did. The Mike Trout thing makes very little sense to me. Where and you're right. Good for him of trying to stay loyal and want to be able to deliver something of substance in the postseason to that franchise. Dude, it ain't happening.
Yeah,
it just is not going to happen.
They're projected 74 wins.
Yeah,
they're in the division that has the world champion and the Astros in it. I don't know.
And the guy can't stay healthy.
If Jay Williams was talking about Mike Trout, because Mike Trout doesn't have a ring, would he say that Mike Trout is great? Would he use the phrase elite in the Jay Williams world about describing Mike Trout?
No, he wouldn't be elite because he doesn't have a ring. He's not one of the better players in the league. He's great. He's a great player, don't get me wrong, but he's not elite. It's just, I feel for Mike Trout. And again, on top of the Mike Trout narrative of just almost seemingly stuck there. And part of that is on him, but also the injuries as well.
Is it on him?
Well, that's what I mean, of not trying to forcefully get out of there. I mean,
I think he's generally a good guy.
I do too.
That he doesn't want that to be a bad look because of who he is.
Yeah, I think he's old school.
But there is a thing about handling loyalty. Like we want loyalty, and we would say, "Oh, you're chasing rings." But in this case, if Mike Trout said, "Man, I got to get out of Anaheim,"
nobody would blame him.
Nope,
not one person.
But I think he's got the reputation, and it's true. Is he's a really, really good guy, and he doesn't want to be that guy that says you got to trade me.
That's fine.
But you know what? If you did, I wouldn't blame you.
Exactly.
They let Ohtani walk. There's so much pressure in Anaheim to do right by Mike Trout that they don't know how to do right by Mike
exactly. I've always said this: if you came out of a coma for like 10 years and you turned on national sports talk radio in say June or July, you would think that the Angels are chasing down a pennant because they were still always talked about, and Mike Trout's usually part of that conversation. Everybody's still, it's fascinating to me. People always want to talk about them. Yet if you look at where they're in the standings, they're probably about 500 or just below or just above, and they're in real no threat to make the postseason at all. That's how exciting of a player he is when he's healthy. And that's the type of conversation that he still gets. So if he did decide, hey, you know what? Enough's enough. I gotta force my way out of here. There is not one player. There is not one rival GM or anybody in the business that would say, man, I thought Trout was a good dude. No, they'd be like, man, this sort of puts the punctuation mark on how truly bad it is in the Angels organization.
So the last 4 years, like 2 years ago, he was a 40 home run guy and he hit 283. And you're like, okay, Mike Trout is back. But in the last 4 years, only one time has he played more than 82 games.
Yeah. It just seems like
half the season. And the year that he hit 40 home runs 2 years ago, he only played 119 games.
Yeah. Every year you can usually.
I think he's 32? I think he's 32 this year.
Yeah. Whether it's just a short stint on the IL, major stuff that has happened, the guy, I feel for him because he truly is one of the best in the game. And there's the physical part of it that has not been lucky for him in a lot of ways, but also what he's been surrounded. Like if you would have told me once Mike Trout was with that organization as long as he's been, and they would not have been one postseason with him and with Shohei, like with those two together, not one postseason together.
You can blame the Royals for getting in the way of Mike Trout.
That is true.
Man, his WAR the last 4 years, 2.7, 2.2, 6.3, and then 2.8. They're going to have a rough year in Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really rough year. I wonder yesterday after those comments if they increased their offer to Blake Snell.
Help the dude out.
They've done nothing.
Help him out, man.
All right, Andy Kendi is coming next. We got a lot for AK, who will have wall-to-wall coverage just like us tonight of the Sweet 16 game that is going on. Your bracket may not be out, but the bracket is out. This is a Sweet 16 game tonight between Creighton and UConn. Yeah, it's like a 1-4 game.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, very much so. So who do you got going to the Elite Eight? That's the question.
All right, AK's next.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Big names, big games. We've got them all. 1620 The Zone.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Since 1972, family-owned and locally roasted Host Coffee Service has been roasting the finest coffee for businesses and restaurants. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's got to be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Howdy, Greg Wagner joining you from the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. Time now for another Nebraska Outdoor Update. Say there's a lot to do this season in Nebraska's outdoors. There's always hiking in the state parks. There's bird watching. There's trout stream fishing action. There's scouting for that spring wild turkey hunting trip. And there's looking for shed deer antlers in your favorite woods. So there's no reason to be a couch potato, is there? No. Get outdoors and enjoy. Well, it's time to get all your new permits and stamps for hunting, fishing, fur harvesting, and state parks. Time to check your motorboat registration for renewal. Time to make those cabin and camping reservations in the state parks if you haven't done that already. And time to go over all of your outdoor gear for spring and summer. Get more information on Nebraska's outdoor scene by going to the Game and Parks website, outdoornebraska.gov. And that'll wrap it up. I'm Greg Wagner with Nebraska Game and Parks.
At Sid Dillon Chevrolet, we want you to have the best car buying experience possible. Shop Nebraska's #1 volume Chevy dealer group or at SidDillonChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
You are what drives us, Sid Dillon.
Thursday, February 22nd is your last chance to see Omaha Maverick men's basketball as they gear up for the conference tournament. Join the Maverick men for senior night as they take on Oral Roberts. This is always a classic matchup. Plus, with just 4 home games left, your Omaha Maverick hockey team takes on Colorado College in a top 20 matchup on Friday and Saturday night. Let's pack the Baxter. Get your tickets now by calling the box office at 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/ticks.
The back seat. Check the back seat. All right, come here. Check the back seat.
Gets in your head, right? Good. Because every year, dozens of children are forgotten in the backseat of a car by a parent or caregiver. All never thought it could happen to them. But with changes in routines, distractions, or a sleeping child, it can happen to anyone. Parked cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. So get it in your head.
Check the back seat.
A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, our good friend from KTV, Andy Kennedy, joins us. Good morning.
Morning, boys.
Hey, congratulations. So we were sad to see Matt Foster go. Matt was a really, really good dude. I wish him well. There's a guy that loved himself some soccer. He had the best hair going.
Holy
in
cow!
TV. No offense to you.
He did have good hair.
But you have made a new hire and a really, really good hire to join the talented and award-winning sports department at KTV.
She starts today. Lauren Michelson, who also has good hair. She is ready to rock. Now, people around the state may recognize Lauren. She was down at Channel 8 in Lincoln for a few years, and now she starts with us. So her first day is today. And how about this? She starts on a day that Creighton, the local club, plays the #1 team in the country. I said, Lauren, believe me, it's always like this. I'm kidding. But I was like, you don't get you. I mean, come on. So she's gonna onboard this afternoon, and then she's gonna go kind of shadow Matt Patilli tonight to see how Creighton ball game is like. So her first real Creighton experience from the other side.
Now,
you going to throw in the deep end right away?
Are you going to be live?
Yeah.
Are you going to be live at 6 and 10?
Patilli's going to be live at 6 and 10. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just let her go. She knows what she's doing. Just let her go tonight.
People in Omaha probably don't know Lauren if you don't have access to Lincoln TV, but I saw her firsthand. She was at the Big Ten Media Days as a one-man band, and she was everywhere. I mean, she was grinding. So that's a really good addition to what you guys already have.
Yeah, and the beauty about her is she knows what she's walking into. You know, like no offense to Matt Patilli, but when you bring in a new person from out of state or out of market, you got to tell them, you know, this is the door you get into when you go to Pinnacle Bank Arena. This is where you park. This is where, this is the best way to go. And this is where practice ends. And this is where, Husker football meets. With Lauren, all that stuff is built in because she's been in the market. So can't wait for her to get started. She's gonna be work out great and fantastic audition, and it all starts today. That's great news.
Are you guys starting to have some production meetings on where the destinations will be and who will be going to where when it comes to Selection Sunday? Because we could see, depending on what happens with Omaha, between the men's side and the women's side, there's going to be it's going to be splintered all over the place.
Yeah, if I put the over/under on the 6 Division I teams in the state going in Division I going to the NCAA tournament, I put it at 4.5. Would you take the over or under?
Ask me.
Yeah.
So when we talk again in 2 weeks, because
That's tough. That is tough.
Omaha will play a couple of games. I'll let you know because I know
Yeah,
what the half team is.
Yeah, because we actually talked about it yesterday. My news director and I talked about it for about a half hour, and I think I had her more confused when I walked out than I did when I walked in. So, and when I really got deep in the weeds when I introduced the idea of the first 4, and if Nebraska gets set to the first 4 in Dayton, that's probably a must cover because an NCAA tournament win in Dayton is still an NCAA tournament win in the first of the program.
Damn right it is.
So, yeah, so that was an interesting talking point yesterday, and that's the thing. Like the NCAA tournament is so exciting and so great, but for a news director, it's a budget killer, right? So you hope for close and drivable destinations for all your teams. That's what I put you out there at that.
And a year where maybe you would have 3 men's teams with 2 women's teams. Oh, by the way, the city hosts the first and second round.
Oh, that's on top of everything.
Yes.
On top of everything. Right,
Yeah.
right. And we actually talked about this a little bit yesterday. I said, I was trying to explain, like, hey, Creighton, because they are the host institution, they can't be placed in Omaha. However, technically, Nebraska can, UNO could. Whether that happens or not remains to be seen. But, covering Wisconsin as a comparison, in the last 20, 25 years, I think they've been sent to Milwaukee 3 different times. And, that's a pseudo home game for the Badgers. It's very similar to the situation here. So it can happen. For Nebraska, obviously, you got to get into the dance first before you worry about placement.
All right, what happens tonight? You were there yesterday. You heard from Mac, Stephen Ashworth. You know what it'll be like there tonight. You know who Creighton is up against. What do you think happens?
Well, I know they're ready. That's for sure. And I know that they realize that this is a bigger game than just a ranked opponent, right? I mean, true. It's just such a have the number 1 team coming to your place. It hasn't happened, that often in Creighton program history. I think it's just the 4th time it's happened in Omaha. And they're 0-6 lifetime against the number 1 team. They know that they've never, at least Mac knows, because he mentioned it yesterday, that the program has never beaten the number 1. So it is important, and oh my goodness, would just do wonders to boost their resume in a solid resume that they're going to get in the tournament anyways. But if they were to win tonight, it would be a huge, huge deal. After UConn, what happened Saturday against Marquette, I don't know if there's any team in the country they're the best. They're playing the best of any team in the country, and can they carry that over till tonight? I know that Creighton will meet their energy, and it's just a matter of if the shots fall and if they can execute defensively to get in the way of some UConn offensive sets, because you're not going to give up 99 to this team and win. Yeah. So so you got to play some D, and I think Creighton definitely took a step in the right direction at Butler. That was a nice confidence boost for them on Saturday.
Hey, on the red team, on Nebraska, with what they have on the road, not only tomorrow, but also just this stretch where it's uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable stretch because we've talked about it. Gary's mentioned it too. There's no good wins. There's only bad losses. What are you sensing from that team as they kind of go into what is it? I mean, let's face it, this is the 2-week stretch that's going to make or break their tournament hopes.
Yeah, that's a great point. And they have to get, obviously, I'm not breaking any new ground here, but you got to get 1, 2 on the road. I mean, you're right. There is no real good win less on the schedule, but there is potential for really bad luck. I mean, who would have thought that was the final stretch of games on a 5 or whatever on the regular season that Indiana, Minnesota, Ohio State record is not really a great win out of the lot. But you go on the road and you win at Indiana, that makes sense, And I'll tell you, after watching Ohio State beat up Purdue, what happened in Columbus there. How about that, fellas? Did you see after the game they were ready for the first one? You see that? They were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna make a line of 15 extra teams or whatever. There, we're not gonna have to repeat Columbus." But, even what happened at Michigan with Juwan Howard, that's a game. They don't traditionally play well if memory serves. I mean, I remember a bunch of blowouts with this team. So that would be a nice win. So I think you got to get two. I do think that Indiana, for what they're going through, I mean, there's local on this call for the head coach to depart at this point, even though I don't know if it's going to happen here in Indiana. It's not a great situation when basketball isn't good in Bloomington. So this is a vulnerable team, and I think Nebraska has to take advantage. As long as they rebound, take care of the basketball, that really seems to be a winning formula that they've had. And it's really interesting watching. When I talk to people from out of state or out of market and they ask about Nebraska basketball, I said it's been interesting to watch the evolution of Fred Hoiberg's team, because I think he came in thinking that, we have this dynamic offense, and we have all these different offensive sets, we can bring in transfers and what have you. And I think we've learned over time that defense toughness rebounds wins the game, and that's what the team is built on this year. And I would, you don't technically you really in our business you don't really root one way or another, at least you're not supposed to. But for them to haven't gone through a year, even because of what Fred's gone through and what the team has gone through, and I would just like to see March relevant for Nebraska basketball for once. It would be fun to see.
Yes. It'll be quite the next couple of weeks. It'll be a lot of fun tonight. Let's go to your coverage, and I'm glad you guys are back to a full staff.
That's good. So are we. Oh, yeah, with the high school tournament. That's going to be fun too. Yeah, I mean, we couldn't have come at a better time. I'm glad to be back.
Hey, great to see you, and we'll see you there.
Thanks, boys.
I think people really like Lauren.
Yep. Know of her. I've never actually met her, but I've seen her and I've seen her content that she puts out too. Yeah. Works really hard.
How about all three shops in town, 6, 7, and 3, all have a female sportscaster?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That is great.
And they're all good.
All right, we're back. Quick thoughts on what's going to happen tonight after this in 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
It's time to make good on those New Year's fitness resolutions by becoming a member at Croc Center Omaha. We've got a full range of fitness activities, free weights, Zumba classes, an indoor water park, pickleball courts, and much more. And right now is the perfect time to join. Sign up before the end of February and you can start your membership for just $1. Plus, we'll waive the registration fee. The Croc Center is just moments away from the Kennedy Freeway and Q Street. Go to omahacroc.org for more information. That's omahakroc.org.
It's easy to see the common signs of transmission trouble.
If your engine revs before it falls into gear. If it seems to switch gears for no reason. So watch for the signs. Certified transmission. The job done right at the right price.
Meet Cheryl.
Hey.
She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's got to be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking.